Even as Hooman's narrative lingered in the back of my mind, I pushed forward in the nightlife. There was the night with black coffee. And I helped bring in rising talents like Space Motion.
Hello everyone, finally I reached to Colombia. This is my first time to visit this country. Tomorrow I'm so excited for the first part in Medellin, Selena.
An innovative DJ making waves. Then there was my involvement with Phil Circle, one of the founders of Circle Music, an exclusive group that curates mind-blowing private experiences in the world's most remote and awe-inspiring locations, like the one they had here in Medellin. These weren't just parties, they were networking gold mines. I mention these connections not to boast, but to underscore two key truths. From my journey, first, hustling in these social circles hones your instincts and social skills. You also learn to sniff out BS from a mile away, believing nothing you hear and only half of what you see. That's precisely why I initially brushed off Hooman's tale. Second, exposure to all sorts of people hosting events builds a certain resilience. You're not easily dazzled or swayed. I mention this because those skills played a vital role in this next part of the story. My time in Colombia was coming to an end. That's when I remembered Hooman's mention of involving me with Fred, the Prince Khalifa guy, the enigmatic businessman. I pressed Hooman on it during one of our calls, hoping for a lead in my own rebuilding efforts. His response? Fred was tangled in severe legal troubles, something about a murder-for-hire plot. I remember thinking, come on, that sounds like pure fiction, straight out of a thriller script. Just say the opportunity dried up, but then, out of nowhere, it exploded across the news on June 23, 2023. Fred's arrest. Revelations that his prince title was a facade, and a web of criminal allegations unraveling in real time. The real story was even crazier than what Hooman had said.
Junio por el FBI en el parqueadero de un Dunkin' Donuts de Las Vegas, acusado de ordenar el asesinato de Jay Esco, un cineasta antiguo empleado suyo que investigaba su vida para un documental. Según la versión del FBI, uno de los escoltas de Khalilian se acercó al documentalista para informarle de las órdenes de su jefe. Ambos se pusieron de acuerdo para engañarlo, recrearon una escena falsa del asesinato en el estudio de Esco y tomaron fotos y videos que le enviaron a Khalilian para convencerlo de que el documentalista estaba muerto. El escolta cobró parte del dinero y luego, con la ayuda de agentes federales, empezó a grabar sus conversaciones hasta que logró una confesión para llevarlo ante una corte. Fue entonces cuando el FBI lo capturó. Desde ese momento, Federico Khalilian está recluido en una prisión federal en Estados Unidos.
He confided he'd lost a substantial amount investing with him and was stunned by the depth of Fred's hidden past. This set the beginning of a series of crazy stories, events, and anomalies that would unfold from there, continuing right up to today and still evolving. Okay, let's go back to 1999. Upon returning from Iran, Hooman attended the wedding of his good friend at the time, Howard Birndorf, founder of Nanogen in 1993, a pioneering biotech firm in genomics and microarrays that advanced nucleic acid diagnostics and high-throughput oligonucleotide synthesis, and his wife Audra. Hooman was developing his first safety syringe design, a self-sheathing mechanism, now common in pre-filled injectables like Ozempic, partnering with IMDP in Vegas under CEO Norm Aiken, a World War II veteran who'd founded what became Fisher Scientific, later changed to Thermo Fisher after mergers. Hooman introduced Aiken to Birndorf for a $3 million funding tranche aligning with Birndorf. His recent co-founding of Illumina in 1998, which revolutionized DNA sequencing through bead array and sequencing by synthesis SBS technologies, enabling cost reductions from millions of dollars per sequencing in 2000 and $6,000 to $1,000 per human genome by 2014. I looked into Norman Akhan and found out he was in fact a badass. Norman Akhan was a World War II veteran, U.S. Army Air Force's pilot and POW, was captured by German forces after his aircraft was shot down on or about August 15th. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2010, but he also had a notable post-war business career. In the medical, laboratory, and biotechnology sectors, he was president of Highland Labs, International Medical Labs, Don Baxter, Baxter Labs, founder and chairman of Overland Bank, and president of Nichols Institute Clinical Labs consultant. To the College of Pathologists and lecturer at American Management Association. Seemed like he would have gotten along really well with Ms. Kavesh. I could not independently find any web-available connection of Norman Aiken to Fisher Scientific. But Thermo Fisher was a bidder for his company, Baxter Pharmaceutical. I verified Howard Birndorf to have been involved with the founding of Illumina, and I quote, Dr. Birndorf worked with Hybridtech Incorporated, and he later went on to participate in the founding and management of notably successful biotech companies such as Illumina, 1998. In 1978, Birndorf, along with Ivo Royston, helped found Hybridtech, America's first biotechnology company. The New York Times referred to him as the Johnny Appleseed of a biotechnology forest. His Nanogen company is going to revolutionize the business of diagnosing diseases by marrying computers and biology, performing tests, currently done in test tubes on the surfaces of microchips, instantly, like something out of Star Trek. Yeah, this story is in fact starting to sound like Star Trek, but the logical thread is still fully intact. Stronger, actually. From what we've learned, Howard Birndorf is like the Michael Jordan in biotechnology, and Iranome is like the Chicago Bulls of genome data team. Michael wants to play for the Chicago Bulls, and Hooman as friend is the agent that connects them. Birndorf co-founded Illumina, and Illumina was directly involved in the Iranome project. I even noted UCSD is cited in Iranome as well. Are these patterns? We just need Scripps Clinic to be involved as well. That's very suspicious, Illumina.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
How is San Diego relevant to biotechnology? Good question. San Diego's biotech story began back in 1955 to 1965, when leading research institutions such as the Salk Institute, Scripps, and the University of California, San Diego, UCSD, were founded in close proximity to 1%. Finn, 1978, two young UC San Diego academics named Ivo Royston and Howard Birndorf had an idea, using the new science of biotechnology, they could make better products for research and therapy. Their idea became Hybridtech, San Diego's first biotech company. Hybridtech's notable achievements included the first blood test to screen for prostate cancer, along with early biotech research into cancer therapies. On Wednesday, organizers of a UCSD cancer fundraiser hold a kickoff party for an event honoring founders Royston and Birndorf. The UCSD Moores Cancer Center Luau will be held in August. Hybridtech, with Royston and Birndorf in particular, helped shape life sciences in Southern California. The big bang of biotech was made possible by the relatively open and undeveloped nature of San Diego's life science industry. Will you look at that? UCSD and Scripps at it again. Looking into the biotech industry in San Diego? Why? Because it seemed relevant as Hooman has lived. There, during the relevant times of his allegations, this is also where Ommid's network thrives. The tally of mega purchases in San Diego County keeps getting longer. The biggest to date, concluded this year, was the $13.6 billion purchase of Life Technologies in Carlsbad by Thermo Fisher Scientific. Genomics is dominated by San Diego's Illumina, itself the target of a failed takeover bid by Roche in 2012. Illumina's market value of more than $20 billion makes it by far the biggest biotech company in the San Diego region. Wow, Roche, again. Nice to know everyone is keeping up in genomics. All the chess players are getting ready, but Iranome is the chessboard. Tying this back to where we left off in the previous video.
But domestic pharmaceutical capabilities have helped us to produce over 98% of our needs locally.
After the 2013 alleged asset transfer, Hooman uncovered what he believed was a key pillar of the company's explosive success, strategic partnerships with global giants like Thermo Fisher Scientific through OEM contracts hidden under NDAs. What are OEM contracts? Or original equipment manufacturer contract manufacturing is an arrangement where a company, the OEM, outsources the physical production of its products to a specialized third-party manufacturer who builds them to the OEM's precise designs and specifications under the OEM's brand name. Here's an example of what OEM is.
What are OEMs? Did you ever wonder how big companies are able to manufacture complex products such as a computer, a smartphone, or even a car? Thanks to OEMs. Start by clarifying the meaning of OEM. The acronym OEM means Original Equipment Manufacturers, and it refers to those companies that produce parts or equipments that can be assembled on a finished product by another company, which provide to market the item with its own brand. This company is referred to as parent company. The parent company is almost always bigger than the OEM companies. Let's take the example of vehicles. The majority of the assembled parts of a vehicle are produced by OEM suppliers. In fact, a car consists of a wide variety of components, most of which are not produced directly from the parent company.
The big company being Thermo and the little one being Padtan Elm. Padtan Elm assets were acquired in Thermo Fisher's amidst the 2014 to 2015 expansion boom, including its $13.6 billion acquisition of Life Technologies Incorporating, Invitrogen and Applied Biosystems for enhanced diagnostics and genomics, the $300 million buy of Advanced Scientifics in February 2015 for bioprocessing, and the $405 million Alpha Acer deal in September 2015 for Regents, facilitated through Creative Commons attribution. According to Hooman and verified by the Rasmio profile, which was translated to English, Padtan Elm Company was the first manufacturer of ELISA diagnostic kits in Iran. Established by a group of laboratory science experts with experience since 1970, the company has grown to produce over 30 diagnostic products, making it one of Iran's largest suppliers of ELISA kits. According to Hooman, Padtan Elm had evolved into a biopharmaceutical powerhouse in Iran with the help of pathobiology centers offering OEM contract manufacturing. In their old website, the boast of this. As leading developers of high-quality immunoassay in Iran, Padtan Elm offers custom IVD assay development from RAND phase to validation and production. Your company can enhance the efficiency of cost and manufacturing. It also reduces production time. This timing of the asset transfer aligns suspiciously with Thermo Fisher, moves that Hooman alleged created demand for OEM partners like Padtan Elm to scale production. Here is Thermo Fisher giving an example of such expansions.
The Thermo Fisher Scientific Molecular Biology Center of Excellence in Vilnius, Lithuania, provides comprehensive, state-of-the-art services from idea through packaging. Built in 1975 and doubled in size as part of a $15.8 million expansion in 2012, the Center of Excellence now includes over 177,000 square feet of strategically designed capacity that allows multiple separate, controlled, and sanitary workflows. With 140 lab workspaces and more than 35 years of experience, our research and development team has the capacity, the technology, and the expertise in molecular, protein, and cell biology to meet the unique needs of private label customers with timely and professional solutions. Over 13,500 square feet of PCR and qPCR equipped clean rooms, including biosafety levels 2 and 3, allow rapid prototype development. And a next-generation sequencing laboratory assures consistent quality controls for NGS-grade product manufacturing. The Center of Excellence also has over 17,000 square feet of clean rooms for manufacturing, purification, and analysis of recombinant and native proteins, or development of specific quality controls.
Quality is a style of our day-to-day work, and there is no difference how we manufacture products and quality management system. We are working to ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 13485 and good manufacturing practice standards to ensure the lot-to-lot consistency.
The same high-quality certification awards shown in this video, ISO 13400 and 85, 2003, and ISO 9001, 2008. Padtan Elm also earned the same high-quality certifications, ISO 13485, 2012, and ISO 9001, 2015, according to the Rasmio translated profile in Padtan Elm LinkedIn page. Hooman alleges it also displayed it on its official website before its erasure. He said these type of deals is what allowed Iran pharmaceutical industry to be a global power, ranking first amongst Islamic nations and in the world's top 10 for biotechnology, exporting pharmaceuticals to over 40 countries. Iran is considered one of the top 10 pharmaceutical producers globally, is number 3. In the world for radiopharmaceutical productions, what are radiopharmaceuticals? They are radioactive drugs used to diagnose or treat diseases, including cancer. They are a key part of nuclear medicine, consisting of a radioactive substance attached to a specific molecule that directs it to a particular organ, tissue, or cell for diagnosis. They emit radiation like gamma rays or positrons to create images of organs or tissues, while for therapy, they use radiation like beta or alpha particles to damage or destroy target cells. This is critically important for personalized medicine, serving as the foundation for theranostics, which combines diagnosis and therapy into a single treatment. Yes, Iran's health and pharmaceutical industry is no joke. They aimed on becoming the world's third pharmaceutical powerhouse. These collaborations, Hooman claimed, fueled Thermo's revenue surge, while Padtan Elm reaped millions in diverted royalties and deals, assets he was financially excluded from. And through the web of shell companies Padtan Elm created like PTLM, Padtan and Padtan Elm in Canada. Going back to the story of Howard Birndorf and finishing the San Diego biotech article with this sentence: successful biotech companies are almost invariably bought by pharmaceutical and scientific giants. Then the investors and executives are back at work, developing the next big thing. After a party where Hooman brought his mother Farideh and sister Ommid, Birndorf abruptly withdrew from the friendship, citing lies from Audra's father that Hooman aimed to disrupt the marriage. A year later, IMDb dropped him amid reputation damage. Hooman pieced this together years on, alleging it was early familial betrayal, excluding him from the collaboration with Birndorf's companies like Illumina, in collaboration with Iranome through transgenics, and genomics, aiding with Padtan Elm and pathobiology lab, whose resources were used for advancements in biosimilars, reducing research time, costs via cutting edge tech, as Illumina's platforms were used in the 2014 to 2019 Iranome project to sequence exomes of the participants, identifying over 1.5 million variants, and supporting precision medicine in the region through the Iranian Society of Atherosclerosis. Masoud Ghasemi currently serves as president. Hooman claims his mother Farideh Kavesh put him there. Hooman doesn't think Howard is part of the conspiracy, but his company Illumina significantly aid Padtan Elm endeavors. In April 30th, 2002, Hooman developed a protective device for injection or aspiration needle. This is one of his foundational inventions. It features an adapter sleeve coupled to a syringe's lure lock and a sliding barrel piece with a spring mechanism. The needle starts partially protruding, indicating it's unused, extends fully during injection as the barrel contacts the skin, and retracts automatically upon withdrawal, locking inside the barrel to prevent reuse or injury. In April 26, 2005, his position guide for a needle guard patent was granted, this innovation assigned to Enviro medical devices. This improves needle safety with guides ensuring proper alignment and retraction. On June 10, 2014, safety catheter with stylet and actuator for controlled retraction was also granted, focuses on intravenous catheters, with a flash window for blood confirmation and controlled retraction, to minimize jolt, preventing needle sticks during vascular access. Features a lure assembly with a catheter, a shuttle assembly with a stylet for stiffening, and a holder assembly with an actuator for controlled retraction. By 2013, shortly after the alleged transfer of assets from Padtan Elm, patterns had already emerged. Increased articles on Padtan Elm's immunotherapy and monoclonal antibodies work flooded his feeds, alongside chatter in his LinkedIn inbox asking him about Padtan Elm. One day, he found a LinkedIn profile naming him CEO, which vanished quickly. Home network glitches prompted him to contact his mother, who urged him to return to Iran while bad-mouthing beneficiaries to deflect suspicion. That year, these escalating anomalies forced him into suing his patent attorney Neil Nydegger and his firm Nydegger and Associates for legal malpractice and breach of fiduciary duty in the San Diego County Superior Court, stemming from Nydegger's alleged negligence in failing to pay a routine $685 USPTO maintenance fee for us. Patent number 6,309,376. A self-sheathing safety needle invention, causing the patent to lapse prematurely and derailing a lucrative $1.5 million up front, plus royalties licensing deal with Nipro Corporation that Hooman had negotiated, it seems. Odd that Hooman would forget to pay a fee on an ongoing multi-million-dollar deal he was negotiating. Hooman doesn't strike me as the type to forget things, given his detailed recall of events. Nydegger blamed Hooman for contributory negligence in not monitoring the fee himself, which seems like an odd response from such a large and experienced law firm, despite Hooman's prior $1 million upfront payment to the firm for patent services, and even coerced a guilt affidavit from him while charging $14,000 for a failed reinstatement petition that the USPTO rejected. Hooman later uncovered a check exonerating him from any fee oversight, but Nydegger pushed the suit. Anyway, allegedly to tie him up in litigation and limit future damages claims against the firm. He alleged Nydegger was paid off or influenced to sabotage him legally, aligning suspiciously with the Padtan Elm asset transfer timing and the broader family conspiracy, especially anomalous given that a specialized IP attorney handling multi-million-dollar deals would forget such a small, routine administrative fee, which which firms typically track via automated docketing systems, raising questions of incompetence or deliberate foul play. On October 20th, 2016, Hooman won a staggering $61.5 million jury verdict, reduced to $46.2 million net after 25% contributory negligence, one of San Diego's largest ever, validating the causation between the lapse and lost Nipro royalties, which is no small feat for a solo inventor. Like Hooman, whose tech had real market potential in the needle-stick prevention space. This victory, he claimed, alarmed the alleged conspirators, Ommid and Farideh, and figures like those named in later testimonies. Escalating interference through intensified surveillance, hacks, and health anomalies to block further probes into Padtan Elm. Prior to his Iran trip in 2015, Sam Medigovich, a longtime friend and retired FBI agent, asked to stay at Hooman's Park Laurel apartment 25,000 and 6th Ave for 2 months, citing amenities like the pool and gym. Despite better options at his own club, Hooman trusted Sam, a 20-year confidant, to safeguard it. Unbeknownst, this allegedly enabled setup Ryan Figley, starting as Park Laurel manager. In 2015, updated the building's entire systems to Apple, installed fiber optics, retrofitted the building with cameras, and Hooman alleges specifically modified his specific app with listening devices and modified the Wi-Fi to keep track of his activity. Here is a clearer explanation as to how this would work.
Let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this. How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are, to images? So what they did is they had a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, like, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
This technology has been available since 2013 and could monitor his online activity, forwarding all of his personal data to what he alleged as a controlled portal controlled by Ryan Figley, facilitated through his manager role. Hooman was also dealing with an abnormal surge of ever-growing health issues that would soon intersect with his suspicions of foul play, since at least 2013, when he was diagnosed with chronic lower back pain and reflex sympathetic dystrophy, also known as RSD of the left lower extremity, on October.
Reflex sympathetic dystrophy is another name for complex regional pain syndrome, a condition that affects the arms or legs. The cause remains unknown for this condition, but it can be debilitating for patients experiencing this form of pain. Intense burning pain, sweating, swelling, and general discomfort are all symptoms of reflex sympathetic dystrophy. While researchers are still working on determining the cause of this condition, there are treatments that are effective in treating the pain.
RSD is a chronic pain condition, often leading to intense pain, swelling, and vascular changes, potentially setting the stage for broader musculoskeletal problems. By 2014, these escalated with chronic thyroiditis, Hashimoto's disease, on February 27th, causing autoimmune inflammation of the thyroid and systemic effects like fatigue and metabolic disruptions, followed by abnormal liver function tests on December 18th and enlarged lymph nodes on December 22nd, indicating possible immune or inflammatory responses that could contribute to overall health decline and bone joint vulnerabilities. He'd undergone a right hip replacement on October 9th, 2015, at Scripps Clinic Torrey Pines in La Jolla, performed by Dr. Richard H. Walker. Remember Dr. Walker? He was introduced to Hooman through his old friend Dr. Mohsin Saeed, who had also dated Ommid Asbaghi years prior, using Stryker orthopedics components like the SecureFit Advanced Stem, Trident PSL shell, and Biolox Delta head. Shortly after, Hooman experienced acute inflammation and anemia. Acute inflammation is your body's rapid, short-term defense against an injury or infection, characterized by symptoms like redness, swelling, pain, and heat, which seems reasonable considering he just underwent a very serious surgery. Anemia is a condition where your blood lacks a sufficient number of healthy red blood cells or hemoglobin, which is a protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen from your lungs to the rest of your body. Compounding his health decline, he was diagnosed with osteoporosis on July 28, 20, along with muscle twitching, fast heart rate tachycardia, and muscle spasms.
Our skeleton supports our muscles, ligaments, and nerves. It also protects our organs, but it is much more than just a scaffold. It is a living organ that is very dynamic. It is designed to absorb impact and can flex and stretch as we move. It grows with us, changing and adapting in response to various situations, such as during times of different nutritional needs or after an injury, where bones may need to repair. And it also decays with us. We could better understand the impact of our bones on our health and well-being if we could get deep inside a bone and see the rigid structure that gives bones their shape, and to watch the microscopic changes that happen in response to different situations. Inside our bones you would see a dynamic and crowded space, packed with many different types of cells, each with an individual role, but working together to keep you healthy. Some cells here in the bone marrow divide and enter the blood circulation to become red blood cells. Others mature from stem cells to become part of the immune system. You can see the bone structure itself is made up of a calcified matrix. This is made up of collagen and minerals. The cells that form part of the bone matrix are called osteocytes. On the surface of the bone, you can see two main types of cells that constantly work together in a delicate balance to remodel and repair bone. Here you can see the osteoclasts resorbing bone. These cells work together with osteoblasts that can be seen here, building new bone. During growth and development, more bone is built than is resorbed, allowing our bones to lengthen and strengthen. But this relies on adequate weight-bearing exercise and appropriate nutrition. It is only up to about 30 years of age that we can increase the strength and density of our bones. After this time, our bones start to decay. This means that bones that do not experience enough exercise and do not receive enough calcium and vitamin D during the critical years are less dense, weaker, and more likely to develop osteoporosis and fracture. There are some medications that can help manage osteoporosis, and researchers are working hard to find ways to reverse the biological bone clock and to prevent and treat excess bone decay. However, it is still a major health concern, and the message is clear: to invest early in bone health, before it's too late.
Is no cure for osteoporosis. While you have it, you experience weak and fragile bones, causing them to break or fracture easily, often from a minor fall or impact.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
You may not know it, but osteoporosis is something that can affect anyone. We are all aging. Our bones aren't getting younger, so research into this disease is extremely valuable. It literally affects the world economy. This accelerated into osteonecrosis in his left hip. Osteonecrosis is also called avascular necrosis, or AVN of the femoral.
AVN, or avascular necrosis, is bad. The bone dies below the cartilage just peels off. Man, is it painful.
AVN of the femoral. Head is almost always progressive, leading to severe joint destruction and requiring a hip replacement within 5 years. In Hooman's case, this took months. He avoided getting the second total hip replacement surgery as long as he could, but it progressed so rapidly that by October 23, 2017, he underwent another total hip replacement for osteonecrosis of the left hip, also performed by Dr. Richard Walker.
A total hip replacement can restore movement and ease your pain. It starts with an incision to remove the damaged head of your femur and clean out the hip socket. We fit a new metal socket and smooth liner for easy movement. Then, we hollow out the femur and insert a stem with a new ball. Modern implants have a porous coating that allows bone to grow and lock them in place as you heal.
Hooman claimed. A dinner set up by his old friend George Lingenbrink presented as help in Hooman's ongoing Padtan Elm investigation, introduced Amin Mohaddis Gholami as a Roche-connected scientist versed in Iranian projects. Hooman alleged the goal was for Amin Gholami to plant malware. He alleges Gholami contributed to Iranome through software, developing Iranome's AI program and cybersecurity protocols. He alleges Figley and Dr. Amin Mohaddis Gholami collaborated on a GitHub project linked resin@gmail.com for monitoring, control, the Wi-Fi stuff from earlier, basically saying all that data collected was being sent to that email. Hooman tied this to broader Iranome efforts. He alleged covert extensions involving Zanetti and Ghassemi with pathobiology, Lab for Transgenics, Genomics, Biosimilars Advancements. I looked into Golami and confirmed him to be involved with Roche. He was also senior bioinformatician at La Jolla Institute through 2014 to 2015, responsible for developing automated pipelines and customized tools, algorithms for analyzing, managing, integrating, streamlining, and reporting of sequencing data in close collaboration with experimental groups. Publications. Dimension reduction techniques for the integrative analysis of multi-omics data. That sounds like it can be useful for Iranome-related affairs. This didn't prove Golami's direct involvement in the alleged conspiracy, but it most certainly proved his associated to Roche. Placed him in La Jolla, California at the time Hooman claimed, around his surgeries, and he does have the expertise required to fit in the role in Hooman's conspiracy. Not direct proof of any wrongdoing, of course, but sure makes you wonder. If anyone in the world could pull something like this guy certainly could.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Hooman moved to a new home where technological intrusions intensified 2016 to 2017 at 1414 Muirlands Drive, La Jolla, California. This home was allegedly retrofitted prior to Hooman having moved in as an Iranome AI living lab for deep learning with smart devices, surveillance recording movements, habits, speech, emotions. The attic was completely blacked out, with no light entry allowed. A window was obscured by a large satellite dish, and the space was crammed with thick bundles of cables snaking into cabinets that emitted high, extremely low-frequency ELF, RF radio frequencies, and electromagnetic fields EMFs. He described red electronic AI eyes, likely hidden cameras or sensors, and a powerful jammer that drained battery-powered devices, like flashlights or cameras in seconds, making it impossible to gather photographic evidence without them failing mid-attempt, turning the entire house into a node for constant monitoring. In one particularly intense session, Hooman claimed to have logged up more than 200 Bluetooth devices connecting to his network, at once many appearing as N, A, or unrecognized, which he believed were part of a dense mesh for real-time data collection. What tied this all together for Hooman was his discovery of a GitHub repository titled Brain Under, the organization RD Biotech Alaska, that was discovered in one of his Bluetooth logs evidence. Bro, what? Wait a second. You lost me here. This is beginning to sound like the plot to Terminator, even for someone with Hooman's background. It seemed pretty far-fetched. Could he have gone crazy? I looked at his work, and he had developed a self-sheathing anesthetic needle with a dedicated syringe during the same time period he alleged having experienced this advanced setup. This experience was so real for him, he proceeded to even post about it. A guy who literally has no social media posts writes a detailed post about this same experience he just described. I think it's fair to assume that he definitely experienced something. To even begin to grasp this, I had to understand what EMF even was.
What is an electromagnetic field? Both naturally occurring and man-made in origin, electromagnetic fields are created through the motion of an electric charge. A static charge creates an electric field. A moving charge, or electric current, creates a magnetic field. The interaction between the electric field and magnetic field produces an electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic fields are typically grouped into two categories depending on their frequency. They are non-ionizing and ionizing. Non-ionizing is a low level of radiation and consists of low to mid-frequency electromagnetic fields, including static fields. They are generally considered harmless to humans. Sources of non-ionizing radiation include MRI machines, power lines, infrared devices, computers and televisions, cell phones, microwave ovens, and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth devices. Ionizing is a high level of radiation and consists of high-frequency electromagnetic fields, which have the potential for cellular and DNA damage. Sources of ionizing radiation include tanning beds, high-energy ultraviolet light, X-rays, and gamma rays.
Why is this relevant? Because let's pretend for a second this was real. Such an advanced setup would require an enormous amount of energy to operate, radiating EMF, at least above normal level, above what you'd experience in a park, or an apt, or an isolated home.
Why is EMF exposure or Wi-Fi a big deal when it comes to our overall toxin burden?
We are chemical electrical beings by nature. So our heart, our brain, our nervous system, even on a cellular level, we're using little electrical signals in our body to tell us how to function, how to think, to sense things. When we have these artificial frequencies from the outside that overlay and interfere with the body, then that causes a lot of problems. It causes interference, it causes inflammation, And there's a lot of studies that are starting to come out now. Even for the past 40 years, there have been a lot of studies. There's really no debate on whether EMF is harmful for people. The debate has always been about how much, at what level is it harmful, and for how long can we be exposed, and for what type of person. For my 90-year-old grandma that has cancer versus a 14-year-old boy that's healthy, there might be some different exposure levels there. And so that's where all the argument and that's where all the debate comes in. But I don't think anybody's gonna argue with you if you say put your head in the microwave and that's safe for you. That's EMF. And so at a high enough level, it will kill you rather quickly. How healthy do you want to be? You know, the studies are there, the proof is there. There's no argument that EMFs are bad. The argument, again, is at what level.
Now that I understood what EMF frequencies are, I critically drove into this, using AI to comprehensively explore this theory and to look into RD Biotech Alaska's GitHub repositories. Hooman claims since his discovery, the website's been parked, and much of the details he had uncovered have now been erased, but he alleges the Brain Project was a repo, for instance, is an open source, Python-based concept that combines a quantum-enhanced language model, Elm, with neural-inspired elements, like Neuron, to process complex data in a qubit framework, potentially adaptable for handling neural signal processing from wearable or implantable sensors like EEG or EMG, using low-power I/O, T-Tech and Bluetooth low-energy BLE for real-time transmission to cloud platforms like AWS IoT. What is AWS IoT? AWS IoT is Amazon Web Services collection of managed cloud services that connect devices to the cloud and to each other, enabling them to send data for analysis, processing, and control.
Internet of Things, or IoT, is influencing our lifestyle from the way we react to the way we behave. From air conditioners that you can control with your smartphone, to smart cars providing the shortest route, or your smartwatch which is tracking your daily activities. IoT is a giant network of connected devices. These devices gather and share data about how they are used and the environment in which they are operated. It's all done using sensors. Sensors are embedded in every physical device. It can be your mobile phone, electrical appliances, vehicles, barcode sensors, traffic lights, and almost everything that you come across in day-to-day life. These sensors continuously emit data about the working state of the devices. But the important question is, how do they share this huge amount of data and how do we put this data to our benefit? IoT provides a common platform for all these devices to dump their data and a common language for all the devices to communicate with each other. Data is emitted from various sensors and sent to IoT platforms securely. IoT platform integrates the collected data from various sources. Further analytics is performed on the data and valuable information is extracted as per requirement. Finally, the result is shared with other devices for better user experience, automation, and improving efficiency.
The relevance of this to Hooman is that it was picked up on a data log he saved from the hundreds of devices he logged as being linked to him at once. So understanding that R and B Biotech focus on this and biological chemical creation to gene sequencing, and their GitHub page publishes open access code enables devices to operate on IoT network. With devices like EEG and EMG and BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy is a wireless communication technology designed for power, efficient, short-range data transmission, ideal for devices like fitness trackers, smart sensors, and medical devices. Unlike classic Bluetooth, BLE prioritizes extremely low power consumption to enable devices to run on small batteries for extended periods, sometimes years. It supports short data bursts, runs in low-power sleep mode when not connected. Does this mean R&D Biotech Alaska is evil? No, their work is open source. The point is, why is this GitHub Bluetooth logs from the hundreds he saw being used in devices linked to his phone? Raises questions. Not enough to convince me, though. He proceeded to show me UCSD's lab streaming layer LSL technology, pioneered in 2012 at the Swartz Center for Computational Neuroscience, SCCN, at UCSD in La Jolla, right in the heart of where Hooman's home was located, which left me stunned with its eerie alignment to his allegations. LSL is an open-source software framework for unifying the collection, streaming, synchronization, and recording of time series data in research, experiments, handling networking and near real-time access without hardware triggers, allowing seamless integration of multimodal streams like brain activity EEG. It was difficult to find videos demonstrating this technology, but this is what I could find.
What is the LSL protocol? The LSL protocol was developed by Christian Koff who was an application programmer in our laboratory at UCSD. LSL is a real-time streaming protocol that allows synchronizing different data streams at different sampling rates. So we may have an EEG stream at 512 Hertz and an eye tracking stream at 50 Hertz, and LSL will ensure that these are synchronized. LSL can handle streams with uniform sampling rates and stream with non-uniform sampling rates, such as event streams.
Taking these brain imaging methods that now allow, for example, like ICA, allow to dissociate brain and non-brain origins to your signal that you record with EEG, you can transfer that and basically utilize the mobility, the portability of lightweight, small EEG amplifiers. This is a setup for mobile brain body imaging that you can see here that we use in our lab, in the Berlin Mobile Brain Body Imaging Lab. And you can see that we are using EEG in this case, but you can use any kind of mobile brain imaging device.
The focus on mobile brain body imaging MoBI since its early development. LSL's features, such as resilience to network jitters, automatic reconnection after disruptions, and support for the majority of EEG systems on the market, plus over 150 device classes, including consumer-grade sensors. I'm not sure what I envisioned whenever Hooman first told me this crazy story, but this right here most certainly comes closest to explaining the high-tech setup Hooman described with cables, telecom boxes, and EMF-emitting cabinets. Rerouting data for real-time transmission and analysis, what initially sounded like science fiction became very real by peer-reviewed studies on peer-to-peer. Synchronized data harvesting as it was actively advancing in that exact location. By 2016, stacking yet another coincidence that raised serious questions about deliberate orchestration versus circumstantial anomalies in his case. He also shared his AI responses relating to this matter. None of this is direct evidence, of course, but it makes you wonder, could he be making this up? What would he gain out of such a story? On the contrary, one could argue the risk of being deemed as crazy far outweighs whatever benefit he would get from this. One thing is certain, I was not up to date on how advanced technology was getting in 2017. But it sure does help now with imagining what he describes in this post. Could this be another coincidence? He reported post-2015 and 2017 hip surgeries, began experiencing the sensation of vibrations near his hip groin area, which he attributed to very high EMF exposure such an advanced setup as the LSL would have omitted, he figured. The EMF exposure was so strong it was making his hip implant vibrate. He also began attributing his ongoing health decline to the high and persistent EMF exposure he was constantly facing at his homes. By 2018, the vibrations had escalated from mild to more noticeable, and Hooman had already moved from the property where he claimed a La Jolla AI experiment took place, prompting Hooman to contact Dr. Walker, who suggested they might stem from parts coming loose, a diagnosis Hooman trusted. At the time, since the episodes were still manageable, though they intensified further after he left, the Murlans drive home and return to Park Laurel at 25,000 and 6th Ave, Unit 1008, from 2018 to 2019, where the surveillance allegedly ramped up. In May 1st, 2017, Hooman's sister, Ommid, wired $950,000 from her First Republic account, asking Hooman to route it as a family loan as family loans couldn't be taxed, and she was going to use it as a down payment on a house. On June 10th, 2018, Hooman stumbled upon a file titled HAA Enterprises on the business office computer, containing his personal data, emails, web searches, and more, all being forwarded to a resident at gmail.com. Account, revealing a sophisticated rerouting of his communications. The very next morning, June 11th, he received a hand-delivered HOA notice from Figley, who entered his apartment unannounced in what Hooman called a trespass, revoking all his building amenities in apparent retaliation for his discovery. That same day, Hooman filed a lawsuit against the Park Laurel Owners Association in San Diego County Superior Court, seeking a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to halt the surveillance and regain access, naming Figley, whose opposition declaration inadvertently confirmed his involvement, though Hooman later requested dismissal without prejudice after reaching a settlement, preserving his right to refile. This episode provided tangible evidence of hacking, with Figley's predecessor, Jeremy Ruppel, who took over in March 2018, refusing to partake and briefly halting the intrusions until his January 2019 resignation to care for his father, after which the hacking resumed, as later corroborated by AT&T assistant manager Ali Sakfan. In events from July 2018 to March 2019 that would prove pivotal in 2024, around his same turbulent period in 2018, while digging deeper into the title of the folder he had discovered, Hooman typed HAA Enterprises into a DuckDuckGo search. Hooman uncovered a GitHub repository named SAM 314 Hooman, created on January 12, 2018, just months before his discoveries. Alongside his own personal information in the results, a jarring alignment given the extreme rarity of the name Hooman in the US, the repo, active until Its last commit on December 8, 2020, is a web scraping tool designed to humanize Cloudflare requests, mimicking human browser behavior to bypass anti-bot protections like CAPTCHAs that pop up, where you are supposed to pass a series of tests to prove you are human. Its code is intended to scrape and JavaScript challenges. This explained this issue he faced here. The repository is built to extract data from protected sites, features that could plausibly be used to scrape personal info from web apps if armed with stolen credentials, meaning if someone had Hooman's passwords or SIM card information, they could, in theory, pretend to be Hooman to access all of his personal info, like access to emails and other apps like WhatsApp, as Hooman, but remotely. This was further supported in the Via Ali Sakvan testimony, the AT&T assistant manager. While the repo's code technically shows no direct ties to him, it's a generic, open source tool for developers with commits and issues focused on bug, fixes and Cloudflare updates, the intentional misspelling of Hooman and humanize instead of human, combined with the timeline fitting the surveillance peak and the search results linking it to his data, struck Hooman as no mere coincidence, but a deliberate taunt or marker from operatives, like his sister Ommid or mother Farideh, potentially co-opting the tool to access and divert his communications to that resident@gmail.com account. Unfortunately, without direct evidence of misuse, it's circumstantial, strong and logical, but circumstantial. The odds of such a rare name surfacing in this exact context are astronomically low, especially amid the Park Laurel incidents, adding yet another layer to the web of coincidences involved in the alleged conspiracy. This discovery only intensified Hooman's resolve, and from February 1st, 2019, through January 31st, 2020, he poured millions into the investigation, as evidenced by his brokerage account, statements for HBA Medical Company, which showed substantial outflows, funds vaguely allocated to hiring private investigators, engaging attorneys for deeper probes and covering, travel expenses to key locations tied to the Padtan Elm saga, all in a relentless push to uncover the truth. By late 2022 and early 2023, no longer at Park Laurel, but with Vibrations episodes surging into intense hours-long episodes from his hip and groin despite no apparent external interference. Hooman repeatedly tried contacting Dr. Walker to no avail. Hooman reached out to Dr. Stephen Barnett's office regarding his symptoms and requested he get an x-ray. It showed bilateral, uncemented total hip arthroplasty implants with no visible anomalies, just 2 screws coming out of the right implant, leaving him frustrated and increasingly convinced the sensations and his health decline tied back to the persistent environmental EMF exposure. When he came to Colombia late 2023, the vibrations completely stopped. When Hooman arrived in Colombia around August-September 2023, I stepped in to assist with everything from translating in meetings to watching his back. Foreigners here often get taken advantage of, and I wanted to ensure his best interests were protected. Right away, I noticed what kind of person he was. Very kind, patient, polite, old school with a quirky, dry humor that relied on clever wordplay and proper vocabulary. He'd often correct me mid-sentence, and you had to be sharp and detail-oriented to catch his jokes. Most Colombians didn't get him at all, largely due to the language barrier, and he walked funny from a childhood accident, coming across as nerdy and a bit clumsy. Definitely not the type I was used to hanging around, but intriguing nonetheless. Within the first day, I saw how people mistook his kindness for weakness. He was renting this outdated penthouse. Hadn't seen a renovation since the 80s for an outrageous $8,000 a month, when I secured far better high-end spots for much less during my time here. He was also working with Lily, a lawyer his wife had recommended. I tapped my contacts to lock down a much nicer place in a better area for half the price, but before we moved in at the beginning of November 2023, we hit the Romeo Santos concert on September 15th with Jason Moreno, who'd become relevant in 2025. What struck me most was Hooman's insane work ethic. I'd never met anyone so committed he'd go days without sleeping, just grinding away on his investigations, no TV, no social media, no distractions, sometimes even forgetting to eat. I'd only read about people like that in articles, the kind where astonishing effort yields astonishing results. Yet, for all his superhuman drive, he was mortal like the rest of us. His body struggling to keep up with his brain. After non-stop marathons, he'd crash randomly, which made sense given his lack of regular hours. Work was every day, every moment. Amazingly, even in sleep, he'd dream of it. I also witnessed bizarre phone anomalies. I've used iPhone since high school freshman year, never Android, and nothing like what plagued his devices daily, battery draining. Here's me opening up my settings app. Normal. But on his Apple ID is auto-logging each time his settings app is open. It happens. Very quickly, it logs him in within milliseconds of opening the setting app every time. WhatsApp? Here's how mine appears. Here is his, even though he already has WhatsApp open, it says get on the App Store. It should say open because he already has the app installed. And when he clicks get, you see it changes from WhatsApp Inc. to simple, reliable, but the get button doesn't change. And sometimes he gets this message, and the whole time he'll have WhatsApp open, sometimes saying this app isn't available in your country. He was in San Diego when he took these. That's not supposed to happen. Soon after, my own phone started acting up similarly, like my location being used in the background and appearing at multiple places at once, glitches that persisted beyond restarts. Unlike typical Apple hiccups. I also helped him with Lily and the new lawyer he hired, Esteban, to pursue a case against his mother and Padtan Elm's co-founders over his exclusion in those meetings. Hooman was clearly the smartest in the room, often schooling the lawyers. On legal nuances, it was impressive to witness, though tough to translate on the fly. Then, in March 2024, Hooman obtained a bombshell testimony from Safwan Ali, a former AT&T assistant manager at the Del Mar Highlands office, and I quote, "The following is a summary of events that took place over an 8 to 9 months' time. Frame at AT&T Del Mar Highlands office regarding one of AT&T's long-standing customers. This is an official statement per request of Mr. Hooman Asbaghi, and it is an account of events that unfolded over an 8 to 10 month time span starting in mid-2018 and an early part of 2019 by Hooman. I, Safwan Ali, born on October 11, 1990, was an employee of AT&T Telecommunications as an assistant manager of their Del Mar Heights office. On or about July of 2018, I met Hooman when he signed up for a personal AT&T postpaid account. At the time, the store manager, Mr. John Goodrich, as I later discovered, had also signed Mr. Asbaghi for a direct TV business account almost 12 months before, which Mr. Asbaghi did not seem to have any knowledge of. Mr. Asbaghi began visiting our offices almost daily, complaining that HSI mobile phones and all other devices were not functioning properly, and he continuously purchased new devices. I became curious and started to review his accounts and realized unusual activities, including extremely high charges, multiple phone numbers, etc., are just a small fraction of the bizarre series of events I personally witnessed against Hooman. The majority of all this mismanagement was shared with me by John Goodrich, former AT&T store manager, corporate. Starting in March of 2018, just when I had started working at AT&T, Hooman Asbaghi was a popular name in the store. The employees were told if Hooman was to come into the store, whether to purchase a phone, hotspot, or a SIM card, the authorized manager on duty had to be given a receipt which had the SIM card info on. This process was done, in my opinion, so that the SIM card could be duplicated and ghosted, which is a very popular way of hacking. Software was being reprovisioned, which would allow the phone to be remotely accessed and monitored while all of this was going on. We were told Hooman was crazy and schizophrenic. John and other store managers would collect all of the SIM card numbers, as he was instructed to do, and pass them down to the district managers, which were Jesus Barraza and Brian Brown. These two managers authorized others to access Hooman's accounts. Assistant manager Stephen Eiserman was also instructed to report all of Hooman's activities and store activities. John has sat down with Hooman's friend Alidad, where John had discussed what had happened, and Al the names involved. Al of the managers who have mentioned no longer work for AT&T, including district managers. Please note, this had been going on long before I joined AT&T in 2018. Since Hooman was not having any success, I decided to contact corporate many times to discuss the issue but never received a response. The programs they used to monitor Hooman's online activities were called Phantom Secure and Anom. That's what was being used to fully control his online activities while gaining access to his calls and messages. They could transfer his SIM card data and pass it down also when Hooman left AT&T and switched over to Cox service. Unfortunately, switching providers would not fix the issues. Mr. Asbaghi had his phone and internet were constantly being hacked into. I tried contacting AT&T corporate on many occasions, but my efforts were not successful. I attempted contacting corporate in the presence of Hooman, but they still refused to respond. While in Del Mar earlier this month, March 2024, I ran into yet another former employee of AT&T corporate headquarters, Miss Kathy Amir Timur, when she suddenly asked why Hooman was spending so much of his time out of the country. I simply wondered, how the hell does she know something so personal about a former AT&T client? Kathy should not have known that, since he does not have any social media accounts, nor does he maintain any sort of friendship with Kathy or any one of her associates. Unfortunately, this is what Hooman has gone through ever since I've known him. These people know his addresses and have told me how much money he has in his bank accounts. The issue goes on a little further. In early 2019, Hooman's sister ran into the Del Mar AT&T store screaming about her iCloud and to delete everything because he will see, not knowing she had logged into her cloud on a phone that Hooman had bought for me, that Hooman was going to give his mom. She said if he sees certain things in texts, he will be very angry with anyone involved in this, including former AT&T employees, who I have mentioned multiple times, who have ruined Mr. Asbaghi's life. He has no sense of privacy through telecommunications networks anymore. The following is a list of names. which were constantly mentioned by John Goodrich and were somehow connected to Mr. Asbaghi's account. My understanding was that these individuals were involved in the said conspiracy: Larry Lendre, Mark Baum, Mark Rosen, Jesus Barraza, Ashley Keith, Neil Nydegger, and Emma Androdny Crooks. Sakvan Ali, March 26, 2024.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down!
Holy shit. This could explain so much of his anomalies, like why all of his recent email attempts were being forwarded to his trash, and not the people he intended them to. Could this be related to this unrecognized Apple purchase receipt, but directed to his sister, and naming his mother, Dear Ommid? Your Apple ID, farideh.kavesh@icloud.com, was just used to download. And this one inferring his mother's email. And this weird email Hooman discovered autonomously attaching to his emails. His personal email is Hooman Asbaghi Memetic, which makes sense given he's CEO MMI Medical. But this other one is almost identical except for the O. Hooman Asbaghi Omimetic, and Hooman doesn't recognize it. Omimetic, could it be Ommid? His Microsoft account saying, created by your IT department. I couldn't independently verify Ali Sakvan working at the AT&T store, but Hooman said Sakvan Ali would testify in court if needed. So fair enough. I looked to verify other aspects of the allegations Sakvan made. And I verified John Goodrich had worked at an AT&T at the relevant time. And in San Diego. I verified Jesus Barraza also worked for AT&T. He's worked with AT&T for 25 years now, starting in San Diego. And I found this Brian Brown. The rest I couldn't find much on the web. But so far, this could theoretically hold up. It sets a logical stage. Ali said they used SIM card collection for duplication and ghosting, a hacking technique, where a cloned SIM allows real-time interception of calls, texts, and data, without detection, explaining Hooman's persistent issues with logins, app glitches, and drained batteries as remote monitoring drained resources and manipulated sessions. Sakvan described how employees were told Hooman was crazy and schizophrenic to deflect scrutiny with SIM. Numbers passed to district managers like Jesus Barraza and Brian Brown for reprovisioning, essentially. Reprogramming devices over the air to enable backdoor access, tying directly to Hooman's experiences of apps. Behaving erratically, networks blocking sites, and devices seeming managed as if under external control. The testimony's significance can't be overstated. It provided independent corroboration of the telecom hacking Hooman had alleged since Park Laurel, naming Hooman's sister Ommid Asbaghi, validating his hunch approach of discrete logging over years, though it left the vibrations, and Bluetooth unexplained, perhaps pointing to separate EMF or device-level interference. Armed with this, by March 2024, we drafted letters through attorneys Liliana and Esteban to Masoud Ghassemi, Farideh, Kavesh, Ommid Asbaghi, and others allegedly in the conspiracy, posing questions about Padtan Elm's Iranome ties and his financial. Cut, they claimed to send them a couple months later, but Liliana charged him $40,000 for basically nothing Esteban had. The Creative Commons licensing expertise, yet Liliana blocked direct contact, insisting on team meetings only, which infuriated me. I grew frustrated with Hooman's leniency and patience, not just with the lawyers but everyone we dealt with, like Jason Moreno, who joined us in Medellin for a stretch, or even his wife Melissa, a classic gold. Digger exploiting him. Common here, as I'd encountered my share. None of it seemed to faze him. He explained that letting people think they're smarter makes them overconfident, revealing their true intentions naturally, and it played out. He'd suspected Melissa's dishonesty for ages, but played dumb to gather divorce evidence. Similarly, he figured the lawyers were compromised, hiring a PI who uncovered Liliana had been, conspiring to defraud him through shady contacts. Here was a private recording we got from him.
Sí, lo mandan para la cosa, pero ¿cuánto dieron por la otra? 200 y pico. Pero es porque la Mercedes se empeñó.
The PI found she'd never paid Esteban, explaining our stalled progress, and provided an image of an alleged $1 million payment she apparently received before any letters went out, unusable in court but damning, plus a report on Melissa from the National Ministry of Defense, confirming Melissa was being investigated by the Interpol for her links to organized crime. Hooman's suspicions were correct. It was genius how he didn't push Liliana, letting her moves confirm her stance. In the past, he'd shelled out big for investigators on Padtan Elm, only for efforts to be diverted or dead-end, like when he hired Babako Hugi, the managing partner at Berliner Corcoran and Rowe LLP in Washington. DC, a boutique firm specializing in international law, export controls, and U.S. economic sanctions involving Iran, introduced to probe the share theft by other shareholders. Hooman conditioned his help on an outside investigation first, requiring Hooman to deposit $400,000 into their escrow account for 3 quarterly reports to assess damages and decide on proceeding, but he delivered 300 pages of what Hooman called conjured up lies, later discovering Hooman had been behind the legal setup for Iranome and working with his mother all along, prompting a complaint to the District of Columbia Office of Disciplinary Counsel on March 13, 2025. All this demanded further investigation, especially considering Dr. Walker's persistent evasion of Hooman's outreach attempts, which only fueled his suspicions, leading to more questions and more speculative theories, which, given the circumstances, is fair, kind of like when you don't answer your mother's calls for a day or two, and she immediately thinks the absolute worst has happened to you. My point is, anomalies plus lack of answers or information usually leads to crazy theories, like Greek mythology or demonic possessions, which were invalidated with technological advances. Medical and psychological science explained demonic possession by identifying symptoms consistent with various conditions, such as dissociative disorders, mass hysteria and schizophrenia, and other psychiatric issues. His sister called him crazy and schizophrenic, so let's address what that means. Schizophrenia is a serious, chronic brain illness characterized by a combination of symptoms including hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and disorganized behavior, which affect a person's ability to distinguish reality and crazy, is often used colloquially to describe someone exhibiting symptoms of a mental health condition, such as psychosis or severe personality disorders, which can include symptoms like delusions, hallucinations, severe mood swings, disorganized thinking, detachment from reality, and manipulative behavior. So far in my personal experience with Hooman, he had never displayed any such type of conditions. Like I've stated, he was the most brilliant, kindest person I'd ever encountered. No, really, I mean it. He would help everyone. The driver, the maid, the delivery guy. He would get involved in their life out of genuine concern, and they would take advantage of him. I once saw him give a maid $1,000 bucks because her son was sick, and within a month she was sending him a grocery bill list and asking money for her other daughter and kid and this and that. Though something I did notice was he was often under an insane amount of pain. Often I'd wake up in the middle of the night to him screaming in pain. Not just that. I heard his hip come out of socket a couple times. It freaked me out, and it would paralyze him for a day or two. Twice, I was just about ready to call an ambulance or take him to the hospital, but he would stop me, citing this wasn't new and he was used to it. As much used to as someone can get to this intense amount of pain. Doctors did come a couple times to the house and provide him with painkillers that often did nothing for him. This immense pain and discomfort often led to him not being able to leave his room, which aided to the reason he worked so much. He mainly attributed not being able to sleep to his extreme pain and discomfort. So after a few days of no sleep, he would forget a thing or two, as I think any mortal human would under the same circumstances, and forgetting a thing or two didn't. Raised many questions on my end. It seemed reasonable given his age. I would often call him old man, which he hated. He was very young at heart. Like I said, his body could not keep up with his brain and spirit. That being said, after a good rest, he would be right back to normal. Brilliant. But it was something to note. Lack of sleep can lead to cognitive decline. But this didn't line up. Of course, I questioned if he was crazy, but the guy was still pushing his patents right. Up to 2022 or so, he co-invented the catheter and retractable needle with a purging system. Yeah, you ever been to the doctors and seen this? That was all him. Not just that, but by mid to late 2024, amid our ongoing work, we collaborated with a doctor named Philip, who developed a promising NAD nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide product with successful anti-aging. Results, essential for cellular energy, DNA repair, and overall cell health, and we were setting up manufacturing in Colombia to bring it to market, highlighting Hooman's continued active efforts in the medical field despite everything.
Hello, I'm Philip Milgram, MD. I'm conducting this training for the administration of intravenous NAD. Place a brown bag which protects against light exposure of the NAD to protect it from degrading during the procedure. NAD must be handled very carefully. It is a very active molecule.
He was leading all of these endeavors. This didn't scream crazy to me, it screamed genius. After all, there is a very thin line between crazy and genius. Someone seems utterly insane until they're proven right, at which point they transform into a visionary genius in hindsight. Joe Rogan explains it best.
Yeah, everybody's the best of their game.
They're all crazy.
They're all crazy, no matter what you do. Madness and genius are next door neighbors and they borrow each other's sugar. You have to be like literally fucking up almost every other part of your life to achieve real greatness.
Yeah.
Because you gotta abandon personal relationships, you gotta be totally unbalanced, completely obsessed and focused upon your goal.
In my personal experience with him, that's the only kind of crazy you could ever call Hooman Asbaghi. His career speaks for itself. Speaking of labels, I'd like to throw a word around here, gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation, where someone, often a close family, member, partner, or authority figure, sows seeds of doubt in another person's mind, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity through denial, misdirection, or outright lies, all to undermine their credibility and maintain control. It's insidious because it doesn't just attack facts, it erodes the victim's confidence in their own reality, often leading to isolation, anxiety, or even self-doubt that mimics mental illness. In Hooman's story, this jumps out like a neon sign, especially with his mother, Farideh, and sister Ommid, and others dismissing his allegations as crazy, or schizophrenic right when his investigation started uncovering uncomfortable truths about Padtan Elm, the surveillance setups in the family, betrayals. That's when the interference began, all of the evidence he started gathering, of anomalies he had been saving for years which he couldn't quite prove until 2024 to 2025 events, unfolding like Ali Sakvan's testimony. Ommid, his frantic store visit to erase iCloud data, or the forwarded emails tying back to her. By slapping those labels on him, they weren't just deflecting, they were actively gaslighting him to discredit his evidence, make allies and friends second-guess his accounts, and portray his well-documented anomalies as delusions, rather than the coordinated hacking and intrusions they seem to be, all while protecting their own roles in the alleged conspiracy. It's classic abuser tactics, and seeing it play out made me realize how deep the manipulation ran. Hooman wasn't. And losing his mind, he was being made to feel like he was, which only fueled his drive to prove them wrong. In October 2024 from Dubai, he shared that our work succeeded behind the scenes. A deal with his mother was reached, granting him full power of attorney that month to recover funds from 3 Dubai accounts as Padtan Elm compensation. This was the POA, a special power of attorney executed on October 24, 2024, through the Dubai courts, where Farideh Kavesh authorized Hooman Asbaghi to contact the central bank and UAE banks on her behalf for inquiries into her registered accounts, transactions, loans. With our efforts concluded, January 2025 rolled around and nothing was really happening. Hooman expressed that, since his arrival back to San Diego, the vibrations had returned and the anomalies had grown stronger than ever before. Unknown and unrecognized Bluetooth devices began connecting to his phone without his control no matter where he went, turning on and off erratically, duplicating all his contacts, glitching his Apple ID to switch languages to Spanish. He discovered Apple data detectors installed on his device, turning off all privacy sharing, but settings would automatically revert or refuse to change. Even though he turned off all Bluetooth settings and turned all privacy to turn off, it still says allow. He was making no progress with the Dubai accounts. He showed me he'd been trying since October, sharing an email from October 12, 2024, to Nouf al-Balushi at Dubai Islamic Bank DIB, urgently inquiring about his mother's closed account, where she had initially been helpful during their July 30th visit, but then delayed, claiming funds hadn't arrived. A January 6, 2025 response from DIB's legal department denied all claims in his December 9 legal notice as inaccurate, urging evidence. To push forward, they hired attorney Mohammed Abdullah Al-Kindi via a December 17th, 2024 services agreement for $100,000, paid in 3 parts, 25% upfront, 25% on approvals, 50% on success, plus an incentive. Bonus, 0.22% if recovered by January 10th, 2025, scaling down to recover funds from UAE, central bank to her accounts at DIB, First Abu Dhabi Bank, and Emirates NBD, governed by UK law with ICC arbitration in Paris. Hooman provided proof of the $25,000 initial payment via ChaseWire on January 10th, 2025 to name his payment collection in Bahrain through Zan Bank, but despite over $100,000 spent, nothing materialized. He believed his mother had possibly orchestrated delays amid her mood shift, which didn't add up with their deal. February 2025 came, and we had made no progress. Hooman voiced deep concern for his mother, saying her demeanor had abruptly turned aggressive, a change noticed even by the banking contacts they were collaborating with to access the funds. He also shared that his hip vibrations had intensified drastically in 2025, with a drastic surge in March. Long episodes lasting up to 80 hours nonstop since March 15, 2025, amid acute inflammation that persisted. Abnormally, a decade after his surgeries, he persisted in trying to reach Dr. Walker, But nurses responded that he had, retired, not seeing patients out until 2027, leaving him under immense stress as the issues compounded. He persisted voicing his concerns regarding these experiences. By March 2025, he reiterated his worry about his mother, suspecting she might be playing him or had made closed-door arrangements. Given her high-level contacts in Dubai and the large sums involved, or perhaps Ommid Asbaghi had gotten in her ear again. Withdrawing funds from a central bank wouldn't take this long. He wondered if the accounts were even real, so he contacted the PI. That had been so helpful in the past and asked him to look into it. The PI provided these images, saying none of it could be submittable in court, but confirmed them to be real accounts holding a substantial amount of money. 5 months after the POA was granted and nothing had happened. Hooman expressed frustration with the deliberate delays and amidst escalating health woes. Hooman filed a lawsuit on March 18, 2025 against his mother, Farideh, the financial exclusion of Padtan Elm profits and violation of the 1999 POA, and for not honoring the new 2024 POA, and Ommid Asbaghi for orchestrating the hacking and malware of his devices. He said the vibrations had drastically intensified since mid-March, and his health deteriorated further with his sleep being disrupted, vision loss, and acute inflammation continuing. While he grew anxious amidst the waiting period that occurred before they got served and his ongoing vibrations. Hooman is piecing together all of his theories revolving health decline, he continued, researching why his left hip was completely compromised within less than a year, searching for studies linking EMF exposure to the health decline he had experienced, the impact of electromagnetic waves on living beings. Documented impacts include effects on humans, animals, and plants, targeting various cell types, for example, blood, cancer, thyroid, cochlea, genotoxicity, cardiovascular parameters, for example, heart rate, blood pressure, male fertility, for example, testes, sperm, neuronal brain activity. Inflammatory responses. His symptoms include recurring anemia, hemoglobin levels of 10.7 to 1202, GDL in 2015, below normal, indicating low oxygen carrying capacity, osteoporosis, 2016, tachycardia, 2016, muscle twitching, 2016, vision, loss and sleep disturbances, 2025, and persistent inflammation. These match the studies eerily well, which is why Hooman connects the dots to surveillance. It's still speculative, especially since PEMF is a proven treatment for similar conditions in controlled settings and low frequencies. Not the intense shocks, everyday exposure he describes, but he never signed up for such therapy. And most of it is in vitro, meaning outside. His sensations come from inside, from his hips. Hooman also began putting more thought into why the vibrations had systematically persisted over years. Let's pretend for a second. Sure, both his homes were modified, but vibrations growing stronger in 2025 and at new locations didn't fit. Then it hit him. The sensations were always from his hip area only, nowhere else so reasonably tied to his implants from the 2 replacements. Simultaneously, his cell phone anomalies had persisted. Since Park Laurel days, for instance, a series of unrecognized Bluetooth devices constantly, connecting and disconnecting at random, always within 0.5 to 1 meter, even in isolated spots where no one else's gadgets should reach, appearing with names like LG TV's KLIW2, 110W to 01, a supposed thermostat at first inspection, iPhones, Macs, and iPads, none of which he owned or recognized. He couldn't disconnect them as they'd reconnect autonomously. And the blue circled eye for info didn't appear, leaving him weirded out and desperate for answers. Perhaps the vibrations weren't following him externally, but were inside him all along. His rapid health decline and vibration feelings led to Hooman theorizing that maybe it wasn't the environment, it was his hip implants. They weren't loose, they were collecting data. I immediately told him he was crazy, fuck his background. This was too far even for me. I genuinely started questioning his judgment. I began questioning the whole vibration story as a whole. Could he really have lost it? The stress, the lack of sleep. Could it have gotten to him? I asked the dreaded question. Can a lot of stress and lack of sleep cause the sensation of vibrations? Yes, prolonged stress and lack of sleep can cause vibrations, often called hyperstimulation symptoms, which can manifest as a buzzing, trembling, or vibrating sensation in the body, and also in the feeling of the brain itself vibrating, a phenomenon sometimes called brain zaps. This occurs because chronic stress and sleep deprivation elevate stress hormones, which overstimulate the nervous system and can lead to involuntary tremors and peculiar sensations. Oh, fuck.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Is this it? Has the old man really lost it? Neurological vibrations, or internal vibrations, are involuntary internal sensations of buzzing or shaking felt within the body. Oh shit! Could this be it? But what causes this? Neurological vibrations, like tremors or buzzing, caused by nerve irritation, neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's disease, side effects from certain medications, and temporary factors such as stress, fatigue. A friend is a person that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And he needed to hear that this was too much. He asked me, explain the Bluetooth anomalies then. You won't believe what I just found, at least hear out his new theory. And amidst the lack of response from his doctors, from my perspective, having seen his brilliance firsthand, I had to at least give him the chance to speak and present the evidence he had gathered to support this absurd theory. But I was going to be very critical of this. We began exploring this theory. I really wanted to invalidate this as soon as possible so as to not waste much time on this and focus on the coming lawsuit, but what we discovered raised even more questions. On March 21st, his sister Ommid Asbaghi was served, and so we began Asbaghi versus Asbaghi, a family feud turned legal battle that felt like the culmination of decades of alleged betrayals. Hooman scoured for lawyers to represent him in this high-stakes suit over his Padtan Elm exclusion, while I dove into trying to disprove his emerging smart hip implant theory, probing for more rational explanations, amid the mounting anomalies he was facing back in San Diego. To invalidate this theory, I had to first explore what a smart hip even is. A smart hip can refer to a biocompatible implant with sensors that monitors its performance in the body, providing data on factors like stress, temperature, or movement for better long-term patient care. He began sharing more details about what had transpired, which led to his smart hip implant theory. I haven't seen my endocrinologist for 5 years, but they're running tests on me through surveillance. Last date in 2023, PSA surveillance, January 16th, 2023. Megan McGarvey, MD. He asked why and how these tests were being done, to which they responded, "Hello, Hooman. Per Dr. McGarvey, she has not seen you in 5 years, and offered to make him an apt with another endocrinologist. Naturally questioning whether the vibrations might stem from loosening implants, he sought specs on them. But the portal revealed glaring deficiencies. The April 26, 2017, progress note from Dr. Walker was essentially empty, with just results review and plan, RV for reports, to be arranged. Offering no real insights into his condition. More alarmingly, the office visits section omitted both. Major hip surgeries, the 2015 right and 2017 left replacements, showing only unrelated endocrine consults and one orthopedic note, ending with, there are no more visits to show, despite Hooman having previously. Screenshot the 2017 procedure, with the vibration episodes drastically increasing since the lawsuit initiated, and with his messages to Dr. Walker and his team being ignored or dismissed, and unable to find the surgical records despite exhaustive searches. He requested a full health summary PDF, which arrived with further oddities. Described the 2017 hip surgeries and the medical components used. Stryker Orthopedics, insert trident, acetabular. Cluster, stem advanced, secure fit, everything done by Dr. Walker, but the procedure details showed minimal information. Upon investigating the echocardiogram 2D with image enhancement for further details, he was hit with this. Results, narrative. This result has an attachment that is not available. What? A unique error not appearing elsewhere in the 90-page document, blocking access to that specific content and amplifying his concerns regarding his hip surgeries. Why are there no details? He persisted in asking Scripps for more details regarding the components used in his hip surgeries, and about his 2015 hip surgeries, to which they responded but over the portal. It seemed odd that they just wrote it as a message rather than an actual document. And upon investigating the components, they were just regular orthopedic implants, not mention of any smart technologies, but the lack of details for his 2015 hip surgeries. He persisted asking CFAR a list of every component, including part numbers and the automatic message of Richard Walker, MD, out of office until January 29, 2027, kept showing up. The Scripps healthcare portal anomalies and lack of details of his surgeries seemed very unusual. The Scripps Patients' Rights portal describes the right for reasonable responses of reasonable requests. Hooman's requests aren't unreasonable, but the discrepancies and contradiction in their responses raise serious questions. Hooman claims no visits to Scripps Clinic in around 5 years since an experience with Dr. Walker. He also mentioned he had found a series of lab tests that were shown in his portal that he claims he never attended and wondered how they could have happened. An example he shared was a testosterone-suppressing hormone therapy test which Scripps Clinic claims was collected on September 6, 2016 at 8:16 a.m. Hooman claims this was a lie, and that on September 6th in the morning he was at court finalizing his Asbaghi vs. Nydegger victory. So how would he have been getting lab work done simultaneously? This made a very valid point in my view. Just a simple comparison highlights how odd this really is. Here is how two devices show up connected on my phone. As you can see, they provide the circled eye for information, and it provides all the details for the devices I connected to my phone. On his device, that's not even an option. The unrecognized Bluetooth devices connect and disconnect at free will. No information button even appears. Digging deeper into the unrecognized Bluetooth devices, he probed them and uncovered their true use and identities. This is what he found. Nordic NRF, microchip RN 4870, TI-CC 250, 4 times Teletio. Investigating what each of these were, we uncovered the following. A Nordic NRF is a series of ARM-based system-on-chip SoC microcontrollers from Nordic Semiconductor that are designed for ultra-low power wireless applications like Bluetooth LE, Thread, Zigbee, and cellular IoT. The microchip RN 4870 is a Bluetooth 4.2 low energy BLE module designed for embedding wireless connectivity into embedded systems and operate independently of a host microcontroller thanks to its onboard Bluetooth stack and scripting engine. It is used for applications like IoT devices, remote controls, common applications, medical devices. A Texas Instruments TI-CC254X is a family of low-power Bluetooth smart BLE system-on-chip SoC designed for embedded wireless applications. These chips are used to create devices that communicate with smartphones, tablets, and other BLE-enabled products to perform various functions like sensing, control, and data transmission, data collection, gathering sensor data like heart rate, steps, or temperature. And Teletio is a proprietary Bluetooth low-energy BLE profile that allows for bidirectional serial data communication and the exchange of general-purpose input-output status. In the context of medical devices, it is used for connecting devices like wearable sensors or monitors to a smartphone or gateway. For real-time data transmission, such as blood pressure or glucose levels, I searched each name in the context of Bluetooth because that's where they came from, and medical devices because that's the theory Hooman alleges. The question is, why would a network of unrecognized autonomous and interconnected Bluetooth devices be connecting to Hooman's cell phone, coinciding with the vibration episodes he experiences? Just the sheer amount connected at. Here is a compelling discovery. Upon Googling KLI W210W to 01, it comes up as a thermostat, fair, but in the Bluetooth logs collected, ready carefully. It says pref device name and KLI W21W 1W1, but on top it says Serial to Bluetooth to terminal. Upon investigating Morich serial Bluetooth terminal, we found this. Simple Bluetooth terminal. This open-source Android app complements the prior tool by enabling direct Bluetooth LaFord X connections through a line-oriented terminal interface specifically, supporting custom serial profiles for devices from manufacturers like Nordic Semiconductor Texas, Instruments, Microchip, and Telit Blumod, which exactly match what's in Hooman's Bluetooth logs. As a stripped-down console leveraging Android's BLE APIs for vendor-specific GAT services and characteristics via predefined UIs, it efficiently manages continuous serial data streams, such as text lines, sent and received over BLE without a standard serial profile that could include body metrics such as heart rate from GAT service 0 times 180D, battery status from 0 times 180 degrees Fahrenheit, or user details from 0 times 181 degrees Celsius, making it ideal for testing, debugging, or interacting with BLE hardware in medical applications like remote patient monitoring or wearable sensors. It may also facilitate hardware control, such as amplifying vibrations via electric or magnetic pulses during active data transfers, depending on device capabilities. We started looking deeply into the logs he extracted from the unrecognized devices that would connect when he would be having his vibration experience. He discovered the MIK3Y GitHub repository is like a free online guidebook from 2012 made by a guy named Mike Wakerly. It shows how Android phones can connect and chat with certain hardware chips. Think of them as little adapters that link USB cables to Bluetooth devices. It works with chips from brands like Microchip, FTDI, Prolific, Scilabs, Jinheng, and basic USB setups. In Hooman's situation, this lines up perfectly with the Microchip RN 40870-70. One chips in his Bluetooth network which could let hidden implants quietly send data out to outside computers. The same individual, Morich, was actively making commits to this GitHub, updated this guide a bunch from 2019 to 2025. In April 2025, he tweaked it to make data flow twice as fast for high-speed stuff, added support for newer phones, like the Motorola Razr 2023, and improved bug fixes and tests for those microchip adapters. The timing of chimeric commits, increasing in March of 2025, and right after we began the lawsuit against his sister, from March 16th to March 19th, he mentioned a 90-hour-long episode. He said March and April were the worst episodes to date. This was a lot to take in. I'm no digital expert, but as a lifelong Apple user, I can tell you this isn't normal.
That's weird.
I have never met anyone that has ever had the same issues that Hooman has with his devices. It doesn't require genius to note that there is definitely something going on here. I'm not saying he's right about everything, and that it's direct evidence of a conspiracy, but this is for sure abnormal. The example I gave with my two devices is just about everything I could think of to link up to. My AirPods and my speaker, 9 devices linked at once, is outrageous. And the data that it's being extracted being related to his bioinformatics, his blood pressure, glucose monitoring, heart rate. He doesn't own any fitness tracking devices. Could this be how they've been conducting the lab tests he claims he never attended? This Bluetooth device measuring his testosterone, bioavailable and total, sex hormone binding globadult females, children, or any individuals on testosterone suppressing hormone therapy, collected on September 22nd, 2025. This is the exact same test that was done when he was at court finalizing Asbaghi versus Nydegger. They conducted the exact same test look. Testosterone, bioavailable and total, sex hormone binding globadult females, children, or any individuals on testosterone suppressing hormone therapy. But this was collected on September 6th, 2016, 8:16 a.m. This is so weird. To strengthen his theory, he began measuring for RF, FF, EMF frequencies, checking the walls to make sure it wasn't the home's electrical setup. Normal. But when near him spikes above 330 volts, this device picks up radio frequencies, RF, electric fields, EF, and electromagnetic fields, EMF. And here is more videos of him testing around his home for frequencies. It was beeping near him, then it goes silent on the wall. And then look when he moves with it. He even purchased a new detector to make sure the first one wasn't malfunctioning. Oh my. There is too much evidence besides just his personal claims. These anomalies are too specific and consistent. This indicates a pattern. This demanded further investigation, especially given the absence of transparency and lack of explanations on his healthcare provider's behalf. I have asked Dr. Walker on numerous occasions if he'd be able to help me determine the cause of my sudden hip failures, but never received a response. About a year ago, while reviewing my records, L noticed my files on my first hip replacement surgery were missing. No motes, MRI, X-ray. I reached out to Dr. Walker, but I was told he had retired, and the reason the files were not uploaded is because he was not in a habit of doing so until later on. I asked his nurse to upload the files, and she was kind enough to do it. Unfortunately, as I was reviewing them the following day, they were removed again before I had a chance to form my questions. The issue I've been having are intense vibrations, which last anywhere from 24 and sometimes close to 60 hours. The vibrations stop, but only for a day or two before they start back up. Can you please help? Up to this point, there was no explanation to what Hooman had been experiencing.
What the fuck is going on?
Then we came across a vital study that would for once begging to shed light onto the odd series of experiences Hooman was having. Is in vivo sensing in a total hip replacement a possibility? An instrumented implant with embedded sensors capable of real-time condition monitoring would be an attractive proposition to incorporate within a total hip replacement. Smart implants are already being widely used in healthcare, including pacemakers, cochlear implants, glucose monitors, and insulin pumps. Additionally, significant research has been conducted using instrumented total hip replacements to perform in vivo measurement of biomechanical metrics, including force and moments. To date, less than 100 patients have successfully received an instrumented implant. Power management architecture for smart hip prostheses. November 1st, 2013. These sensors are devices capable of recognizing changes in the physical environment, such as strain, temperature, pressure, alignment, as well as changes in biochemical milieu of the implants. This in vivo information is then transmitted to the exterior using various systems such as Bluetooth or radio frequency RF waves. The monitoring computer then analyzes the data received and allows clinicians to interpret the changes. Holy shit, could this be it? Could this be why Hooman's hips are emitting high RF frequencies? In current wireless sensor technology, up to 75% of a sensor's power budget is dedicated to wireless communication, where the RF transceiver drains a considerable amount of power, estimated to be in the range of tens of MW8. WBNS wireless technologies include the classic Bluetooth and the IEEE 102.15.4 with or without Zigbee network layer. Both of these wireless technologies have high power level requirements for use in implanted devices that must operate for large periods of time with a low power budget and without servicing. With the new Bluetooth low-energy technology, these limitations lead many medical device companies to use antenna-based RF transceivers for wireless communications between IMD and external unit. The IMD is equipped with an antenna that, when fed with a signal, radiates electromagnetic waves through the body to an external receiver 84. The RF spectrum ranges from 3 kHz to 300 GHz. Between 30 MHz and 400 MHz is the human body's resonance range, where specific absorption rate is at its highest 85, meaning that RF waves can penetrate the furthest into the body. Therefore, a transceiver operating around this frequency range would be desirable for a deeply IMD. 2.2.1 Vibration analysis, VA. VA relies on measuring the ambient vibrations and frequencies of a system, or the vibration response, following a mechanical excitation from an external source, for example, a shaker, a structural change or degradation within the system, for example, an imbalance, worn and broken. Components or torque variations will give rise to distinct features in the output signals. The telemetry system assessed in this study was built around two RF modules, a BLE 112 Bluetooth V4 device from BlueGiga and a MSP 430 CC 2500 architecture Texas Instruments running the proprietary Simplicity protocol. Oh, wow. This offers an explanation to just about everything Hooman is experiencing. The unrecognized Bluetooth devices constantly linking up to Hooman, always at close proximities, the vibrations. It can also explain the RF signals emitting from his hip area. I stand corrected. I guess this technology is real, and it seems like it was available prior to Hooman's surgery. I wonder if Stryker Orthopedics has this sort of technology. The THR stem Exeter V40, size 37.5 millimeters NDG3, Stryker with an integrated piezoelectric element. Well, shit. But unfortunately, this still doesn't tie it to Hooman and his surgeries.
Gosh darn it! Shit! Shoot!
Stryker, the manufacturer of his implant, was involved, but they're a big company. Neither Scripps Clinic or Dr. Richard Walker were involved in either of those studies. Nonetheless, it's very compelling, for the first time, a potential explanation to Hooman's experience. This whole ordeal was so bizarre, we had to get to the bottom of this. This most certainly required more details of Hooman's surgeries. So we began digging through the details of Hooman's 2015 and 2017 hip surgeries. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Surgeon, Richard H. Walker, MD. Assistant surgeon, Kenneth Schmidt, MDF. I didn't know Walker's middle initial was H. Let's look a little deeper into him. Who is Richard Walker? Is he even familiar with the technology? Let's see biography. Richard Walker, MD, is an orthopedic surgeon with expertise in total joint replacement for the hip and knee. In addition, he has interests in hip and knee arthritis, minimally invasive surgery for total hip and knee replacement, and computer-assisted navigation and pressure sensor applications for total hip and knee replacement. Nice. Since joining Scripps Clinic in 1983, Dr. Walker has devoted his career to maintaining a combination of clinical, teaching, research, and leadership roles, including performing thousands of total hip and total knee replacement procedures. In addition to his clinical practice, he has conducted research on total hip and knee replacement outcomes, biomechanics, and techniques, as well as thromboembolic disease prevention after total hip and knee replacement. He has presented his research on joint replacement at scientific meetings across the United States as well as in Canada, South America, Europe, and Asia. Well, shit. He has also served as an editorial reviewer for internationally prominent orthopedic journals for over 2 decades, including the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery, Clinical Orthopedics and Related Research, and the Journal of Orthopedic Research. As an educator, Dr. Walker has served for over 30 years as a faculty member guiding young orthopedists through post-residency fellowships focused on joint replacement surgery. His leadership roles have included serving on the board of directors of Scripps Clinic Medical Group, SCMG, for over 25 years, as chairman of the Department of Surgery for SCMG for 20 years, and as vice president of surgery, gynecology, and radiology for Scripps Clinic for over 10 years, as well as chief of staff and chairman of the Department of Surgery for Scripps Green Hospital. Most recently, Dr. Walker has added the role of president of Scripps Clinic Medical Group to his leadership service. Ooh, shit. President? Dr. Walker is the real deal. Walker has been named numerous times as one of the best doctors in America, and to Who's Who in Medicine and Healthcare, Who's Who in America, and Who's Who in the World. He is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons and a member of numerous professional societies, including the Western Orthopedic Association and the American Association of Hip and Knee Surgeons, as well as international societies, including the Association of Bone and Joint Surgeons. Oh my God, this guy is like the Michael Jackson of orthopedic surgeons. He was able to combine his passions for orthopedics and baseball by serving as a team physician for the San Diego Padres for over 15 years, including the National League pennant-winning years of 1984 and 1998. He's a superstar. This is not what I was expecting when I looked into Richard Walker. Scripps Health Network has over 150 board-certified orthopedic surgeons across San Diego County, and Hooman gets the LeBron James of the orthopedic surgeon industry. I looked through the studies he's authored in, and his experience begins in the 90s. This guy is something else. I'm trying to invalidate Hooman theory, but this just made it a little interesting.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Let's look into assistant surgeon Kenneth J. Schmidt. Okay, he's not as accomplished as Walker, but I mean, in Schmidt's defense, Dr. Walker really set the bar. In each one of these 2 options in mentions Clifford Caldwell. I also saw Clifford Caldwell name being mentioned alongside Richard Walker. Who is Dr. Clifford Caldwell? Good morning. My name is Cliff Caldwell. I am a physician in private practice with the Scripps Clinic Orthopedic Division and head of its division of orthopedic surgery for 25 years. Presently, I am medical director of Scripps Clinic Center for Orthopedic Research. He won the Francis West Award twice for his superior teaching with the UCSD Orthopedic Residency Program. Dr. Caldwell has been a team physician for the San Diego Padres for the past 15 years, and the medical director for America, the women's crew in the America's Cup defense. Clifford Caldwell, MD, implanted the world's first electronic prosthetic knee, replacing a patient's failing joint and subsequently collecting valuable data on how everyday activities impact the knee. The findings earned the team multiple prestigious awards and ultimately led to more effective knee implants. Oh, shit. Now this is something. Dr. Daryl DeLima. He also shows up as CO author with Richard Walker dating back to the 90s. Who's DeLima? Daryl DeLima, MD, PhD, Director, Orthopedic. Oh, wow, he's at the same level as Caldwell and Richard Walker. These guys are the Avengers of orthopedics. Richard Walker has co-authored studies with doctors Clifford W. Caldwell Jr. and Daryl D. DeLima since the 1990s. I want to look into the electronic knee they collaborated on.
When Donald McDonald swings a golf club, he's actually furthering science.
Nice one.
The 83-year-old from Encinitas is one of only 4 people in the world with an electronic knee prosthesis, known as an e-knee. Scripps is a pioneer in orthopedics, developing a revolutionary knee implant with a computer chip that measures the biomechanics of the knee.
You can see how the forces now jump as he's putting more load on his knee and flexing the knee joint.
Scripps is enhancing the quality of life for patients like Donald, and what is learned from his e-knee will help countless others.
I was getting to the point where my knee would just go out on me, so it kept me playing. I don't know if it improved my game or not, but I am
but golf is my favorite sport.
The unique SMART prosthesis measures forces inside the knee while a patient is active.
Taken us 15 years, but we had to start from scratch. We had to turn the chip on, we had to find out how to power it remotely and communicate with it. And now we're at the point at which we can collect data from patients and predict how long implants are going to last based on the patient's activity and how long they conduct those activities.
Dr. Daryl DeLima and program founder Dr. Cliff Caldwell are working on the next generation of the device.
We believe that we can tailor or customize these implants to individual patients, not just to their anatomy, but actually to their age, lifestyle, and even activity level.
Total knee replacements in the U.S. could top 3 million by 2030.
We're very fortunate to have a place like Scripps here in our community. The knee has enabled me to keep doing the sport that I really care for.
Another way Scripps is transforming medicine.
Jerry Ward was the ideal candidate. He was the right height and weight and score director. Clifford W. Caldwell Jr., MD, had already replaced Ward's other knee. But the most important factor was Ward's willingness to contribute his time to advance medical science. I guess I'm kind of like a lab rat, says Ward. Medicine in motion. Research, education, and clinical practice improve orthopedic care. Scripps Clinic's sports medicine division treats some of the finest athletes in the world, from the San Diego Padres to the U.S. Olympic ski and volleyball teams. Advances in sports medicine have improved care for all patients. So, Scripps and the San Diego Padres have a long relationship. The fellowship, under the joint direction of Richard Walker, MD, and Clifford W. Caldwell Jr., MD, is an intensive year-long training program designed to maximize surgical expertise in total joint replacement. Seems like Richard Walker and Clifford Caldwell have a strong relationship. They literally work together. And Richard Walker was president of Scripps during the relevant time. Okay, well, if anybody in the world could pull of what Hooman alleges, it would most certainly be this guy's.
A new bionic body part that talks to your phone is the next frontier in knee replacements. It's called a smart knee. What else? A new technology designed to improve recovery after surgery. As CBS 2's Stephanie Stahl reports, the device monitors how the new joint is working.
This is doing extremely well.
Donna Cordero has a new smart knee. It's an implant that's equipped with sensors that track her mobility.
You can see my progress.
The movement information from the knee is wirelessly transmitted to a personal base station. That sends the data to the patient's phone and the doctor's office.
And it sends us half a dozen pieces of information.
Could this be how they've been conducting the tests Hooman claims he never consented to? They admit he hasn't been a patient for some time, so how are they conducting these? This technology is very similar. But smart knees are one thing. What about smart hip? Have they done anything smart hip related? I found a 2008 Helio article titled Smart Implants to Provide Biofeedback, Measure Joint Loads, Detect Infection. Discusses Drs. DeLima's and Caldwell's work. While most orthopedic implant developers are focused on improving current technologies, a handful are looking to the future by developing smart or intelligent orthopedic implants that can provide real-time feedback to researchers, physicians, or patients on how the implants are performing, what is happening inside a bone or joint, or if a patient has exceeded the device's optimal range of motion. Research into smart implants is being conducted worldwide. All the major orthopedic manufacturers are working on one or more forms of these smart implants, Javad Parvizi, MD, FRC, said. Parvizi, member of Orthopedics Today's editorial board, noted, smart implants go beyond the conventional ones we have right now. They may detect poor bone ingrowth, infection, subsidence, or dislocation once an implant is in place. Okay, all of this ties back to precision medicine or personalized medicine. Here's Obama to tell you a little more about the subject.
This is going to be completely unprecedented. It is going to affect medicine in ways we've never seen before.
You can match a blood transfusion to a blood type. What if matching a cancer cure to our genetic code was just as easy, just as standard? And that's the promise of precision medicine. Delivering the right treatments at the right time, every time, to the right person. What's so exciting is that we have the possibility of leading an entirely new era of medicine. that make sure new jobs and new industries and new life-saving treatments for diseases are created right here in the United States.
5 years ago, it was about $10,000 to sequence a whole genome. 10 years before that, almost $1 billion was spent worldwide in sequencing this. Today, we can sequence a whole genome in 24 hours for $1,500. But when you take 1,500 times the number of people you need to see before you begin to learn the relationship between the genetics and medicine, that's a very big number.
It is difficult to forecast exactly what the financial implications of precision medicine are going to be. On the one hand, if drugs are tailored to very specific populations, the prices are higher because the value to the patient is also higher. On the other hand, today, many people are taking drugs that are really not doing them any good. We can avoid the unnecessary costs of inappropriate medication. That would be cost saving.
It's important for the lay public to understand that this doesn't happen overnight. The genetics is now straightforward. We can sequence very rapidly, very cheaply, but we still have to add on to that the drugs developing, and that takes time.
This video came out 10 years ago. This is possible through advances in the fields of nanotechnology, acoustics, computers, microchip technology, and other areas, Parvizi explained. Researchers use the technology to incorporate added features into conventional implants that address some of these problems when they arise. One use may be detecting problems like vibration around prostheses, which could signal loosening. However, Parvizi foresees having a microchip detect the motion, and the implant will give some sort of sign and will alert the patient or the surgeon there's a problem. Holy shit, this describes major parts of Hooman's experiences. Vibrations, smart chip technologies, and he ties it all to data gathering. This data is very valuable for personalized medicine. Precision medicine is highly valuable because it tailors health prevention and treatment to an individual's unique genetic makeup, environment, and lifestyle. Parvizi and colleagues at the Rothman Institute in Philadelphia are developing a hip prosthesis with a smart anti-infective surface. For the last 20 years, Bergman and colleagues have worked on smart hip prostheses containing a multi-channel telemetry system which measures three-dimensional 3D forces in the joint and transmits them to a computer. To date, they implanted them in 7 patients, and the hip force data collected are contained in a publicly accessible database, which is currently active ortho-low.com. According to Daryl D. DeLima, MD, PhD, available devices can sense temperature, pH, blood glucose levels, and record electrical activity of the heart and joint forces. But to be a truly smart implant, it has to have greater capabilities, such as the ability to remotely turn on and off, collect data, and be reprogrammed, he told Orthopedics Today. An orthopedist and engineer at the Shiley Center for Research and Education at Scripps Clinic, La Jolla, Calif. DeLima has researched smart knee implants for a decade. He envisions applications that benefit patients and industry alike, such as sensors in a hip prosthesis that would indicate it is close to dislocating. DeLima, Clifford W. Caldwell Jr., MD, and others at Scripps developed the e-tibia prosthesis, a total knee arthroplasty tibial component with an internal telemetry system that reports the impact on the knee from playing tennis or running. Holy shit. This article confirmed the technology wasn't just available. It was being developed in collaboration with the same hospital, Scripps Clinic, Torrey Pines Road, La Jolla, California, by the very same people that were connected to Hooman's surgeon, Dr. Richard Walker. Yes, Walker wasn't mentioned in this article, but he was president and CEO of Scripps Clinic Medical Group at the time. I think it's fair to imply that given his long and extensively documented relationship with both Drs. Clifford, Caldwell, and Daryl DeLima, and given his leadership position, he would be aware of what they were working on. I would also say it's fair to even assume he was directly involved or aware of high-level deals regarding Scripps and possibly of new and ongoing technology research. This doesn't seem like a crazy assumption. The articles confirm Scripps' direct knowledge and involvement in the research of the relevant technology. But don't take my word for it. Here is this Transforming Medicine 2015 article. Since its founding in 2006 by Scripps Health, STSI has been distinguished by its leadership in translational, genomics, and for harnessing digital or wireless medical technology for health monitoring of individual patients. So, now that we've established that, this 2008 Helio profile further collaborates Hooman's experience with the vibration sensations. And who is Javad Parvizi? Javad Parvizi, MD, FRCS. He receives research support from and is a consultant to Stryker. Wow, Stryker again. This article also mentions Ortholode and on their official website. It further displays this technology. Projects financed by Stryker. I wonder if there are any more links of Stryker to this. Okay. A lot of studies, Dr. Walker is involved in use Stryker components. Not abnormal. It's a big manufacturer and Walker's position. Now, this is very interesting. Clifford Colwell developed the Stryker acetabular system, the same type of implants used in both of Hooman's surgery. They give him a special thanks. In this study, ceramic liner fracture and impingement in total hip arthroplasty disclosures, conflict of interest, Amy Steinhoff, MD, Victor Hakim, MD, and Richard Walker, MD, have declared that they have no conflict of interest. Clifford W. Colwell reports personal fees and research support from medical, compression systems and research support from Stryker and Novartis. Implantable sensor technology, from research to clinical practice, IT accredits Scripps Research Institute, La Jolla, Sia, and Dr. Daryl DeLima, and references Dr. Clifford Colwell's work as well. It emphasizes how low-cost sensors, available at just $10 per unit, can be incorporated into any orthopedic implants with little or no modification to the host. Design using strain gauges, accelerometers, and wireless telemetry for real-time monitoring of force, torque, pressure, and temperature in hip and knee arthroplasty. I embarked on this deep dive fully intending to poke holes in Hooman's theory. After all, the idea of secretly modified hip implants, turning someone into an unwitting data mine for personalized medicine, sounded like the plot of a dystopian thriller. But now, after piecing together the web of connections, the timelines, and the sheer volume of anomalies he's documented, I'm not so sure anymore. The evidence isn't ironclad proof. It's heavily circumstantial, built on patterns that keep stacking up in ways that are hard to dismiss as mere chance. Hooman's overall theory isn't just about a smart hip. It's about how constant EMF RF emissions from embedded sensors could explain his rapid health decline, the vibrations, the Bluetooth glitches, and even the broader surveillance he's endured. It's like the implants aren't passive. They're active nodes in an IOMT, set up, pinging data wirelessly and inadvertently, or deliberately, wreaking havoc on his body. And when you zoom out, all the weird experiences that led here, the hacks, the evasiveness, the unexplained tests, form a chain reaction that only makes sense through this lens. Hooman sent a letter to Dr. Walker, and this is what happened.
So where's Dr. Walker's office? Richard Walker?
I'm not familiar with that doctor, let's see. Does it have a department?
Yeah, I just have to, orthopedic surgery, joint replacement.
I guess here, but we don't.
Can I respect you, or do I go to the doctor? We have to hang on to the fourth for the doctor, but I'll take the clipboard. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can I see the one more time? Does it say orthopedic surgery joint? So this is orthopedics, but we don't have any doctor by that name in this department.
Okay, so I just leave and go to the next building?
Yeah, the easiest way. Huh? It does say orthopedic surgery joint replacement for Richard Walker, and then it has this address, which would be the Green Hospital.
I will call the schedulers and find if they can have a Dr. Walker because there was a Walker before.
Oh, there was? That's let me find out first.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hey, this is Roxana over at the front desk. Hey, I have a question. There's someone here dropping off some paperwork for Richard Walker, a doctor by that name. Do you know what office he's in? And is she here in this? Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So he doesn't have an office here, but there is a secretary that might be able to take that for him. Okay. So let me reach out to her.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And are you a patient?
No, I'm just dropping something off from a patient.
Okay.
To no surprise, it never got to Dr. Walker. After some time, Hooman's persistent concerns regarding his experiences and theories led to Richard Walker. Calling him, he says Walker invited him to come into Scripps to get checked out. At this point, after all he had uncovered, he felt Walker's sudden call was suspicious, and Hooman feared that if he went in to get checked out by him, they could disable the device in order to discredit him. Hooman chose to seek other medical expert opinions to strengthen his case. In our around August on 2025, Scripps messaged Hooman. The alleged details to his hip surgeries, this is what they sent. Hooman then asked them to send the actual post-surgery imaging, and they sent these x-rays. That raised further questions. Initially, you can notice the left and the right hip are different implants. One has like teeth on the side, while the other one is smooth. I'm not expert, but I could note that right off the bat, I also noticed that this looks nothing like the x-ray Hooman got at Dr. Stephen Barnett's office 2 years prior. He even messaged Scripps about it, though he continued asking questions. In the health portal, which finally prompted a response from the Scripps Medical Foundation and Risk Management, finally, an official response from Scripps, we were going to get to see if Hooman's theory was correct or not. Here is what that letter said. Dear Mr. Asbaghi, this letter is in response to your concerns regarding care and treatment provided to you by Scripps Clinic orthopedic surgeons since 2015. Specifically, you feel your hip implant contains Bluetooth signals causing vibration sensations. You were provided the implant device information and offered an appointment to discuss with orthopedics, but you declined. Your reported concerns were investigated and reviewed by the Risk Management Department of the Scripps Medical Foundation. I would first like to extend our sincere regrets for your dissatisfaction with your care and treatment. Thank you for bringing your concerns to our attention and affording us the opportunity to address your concerns. Care concerns are reviewed through a confidential quality review process, which may include a review of your complaint, medical records, and discussion with physician leadership as needed. This investigation and findings are confidential and protected by California Evidence Code 101057. While I am unable to share the outcome of this confidential review, I can confirm that the care concerns you raise are taken seriously, and we take appropriate action to improve the quality of care where indicated. I encourage you to schedule a visit with an orthopedic physician to discuss further if you wish. This letter confirms the conclusion of our review. I appreciate your patience as we evaluated your concerns. I apologize for not meeting your expectations. Respectfully, Sala Maritza Santamaria.
What? What?
What? What do you mean? This investigation and findings are confidential and protected by California Evidence Code 10157. So, you're acknowledging the Bluetooth signals and vibration sensations as legitimate concerns. Worth reviewing, but then hiding behind a legal shield to avoid sharing any actual details? If these issues are taken so seriously, why not just answer the question directly? Yes or no? Were the implants modified? And claiming this letter confirms the conclusion of our review? This is what talking to Scripps Clinic feels like.
And who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
I have told you.
Are you deaf?
No, you is blind.
I'm not blind, you blind.
That is what I just said.
You just said what?
I did not say what. I said you.
That's what I'm asking you.
And you is answering.
Shut up. You.
Yes?
Not you, him. What's your name?
Me.
Yes, you.
I am me.
He's me. And I'm you.
And I'm about to whoop your old ass, man, because I'm sick of playing games. You, me, everybody's ass.
It provides absolutely nothing. No explanations, no denials, no next steps beyond a vague offer for an appointment. It's like they're closing the door while pretending to open it, leaving Hooman in the dark and fueling his suspicions even more. Hooman sees this as tied directly to the larger conspiracy orchestrated by his sister Ommid Asbaghi and mother, Farideh Kavesh, a web of betrayal that's not just financial, but potentially extends to his very health. I tried to look for any links between them and his hip surgeries, and I uncovered Ommid Asbaghi had deeper ties than I thought. Just a single Google search on Ommid Asbaghi brings up Padres Peddle the Cause, San Diego's premier cancer research fundraiser. Padres Peddle the Cause is CureBound's largest signature event, bringing together thousands of participants each year to raise money for collaborative cancer research. Hosted in partnership with the Padres, Padtan is San Diego's most impactful fundraising experience with over $18 million raised to date to fund 80-plus innovative research grants in all types of cancer. What's Padres Padtan the Cause? Padres Padtan the Cause was founded in 2013 by Amy and Bill Hooman in San Diego. It's a nonprofit organization that has teamed up with the San Diego Padres baseball team as far back as when it was founded in 2013. Here is an article of 2015 Padres team up with Padtan the Cause when they extend their collaborations for the second year. Oh, the San Diego Padres, as in the San Diego Padres doctors. Richard Walker and Clifford Caldwell have served as team physicians for 20 years or so. More coincidences. Well, what's Ommid Asbaghi tied to the Padres Padtan the Cause? Padres Padtan the Cause kick to off party. Ben and Kim Reed. Ommid Asbaghi, 2017. Sandra Pelletier, CEO of EvoFem Biosciences and global innovator. Her oncologist, Dr. Rebecca Shatsky, a nationally recognized UCSD breast cancer oncologist. Nice to see Ommid's social circle entitles UCSD researchers and biopharmaceutical CEOs in the San Diego area. CureBound and San Diego Padres come together. Amy Coleman, host and co-founder of Padres Padtan the Cause. Bills Angels co-captains Julie Taffel-Klaus, Denise Hawkinson, and Ommid Asbaghi. Bills Angels is a specific fundraising team within the larger CureBound. Remember last video I told you CureBound would be relevant? This is it. In 2021, two highly respected local cancer organizations, Padres Padtan the Cause and Immunotherapy Foundation, united to form CureBound. Padres Padtan the Cause is a signature event of CureBound. San Diego Padres that has raised more than $21.5 million for early phase research in San Diego. What sets Padres Padtan apart from other fundraisers? All proceeds fund CureBound grants that require collaboration among specialized teams from 6 research institutions in San Diego: UC San Diego Health, Salk Institute, Sanford Burnham Prebees, Rady Children's Hospital, La Jolla Institute for Immunology, and Scripps Research. Scripps Research and UCSD. Oh, wow. Scripps Research is located on North Torrey Pines R&D, La Jolla, the same campus where Hooman had his surgery at Scripps Green Hospital. Different building, but same road. Scripps Research volunteers supported the San Diego Padres Padtan the Cause event for cancer research. The event is CureBound's largest event of the year to raise funds for collaborative cancer research at several top institutions, of which Scripps Research is one direct beneficiary. Ommid is at every single event. Padres Padtan the Cause presented a check for a record-breaking total of $2,940,837 to beneficiary representatives from Moore's Cancer Center at UC San Diego Health. She helps raise money for Dr. Maurizio Zanetti, UCSD Moore's Cancer Center. This directly links Ommid Asbaghi to UCSD Moore's Cancer Center. Again, they thank her as Bills Angels team captain. I found out she is in the concert committee for CureBound. They brought Elton John to San Diego and have brought other celebrities in the past to raise money. Ommid Asbaghi and Carolyn Botzenhart are listed for 2025 events. Ommid has directly and indirectly helped raise millions of dollars for Scripps Research when Dr. Richard Walker served as president and CEO at the relevant time in UCSD Moore's Cancer Center Research, where Maurizio Zanetti is director in laboratory. The overlap is uncanny. Could this type of conspiracy even be possible? Strikers paid over $2 billion in settlements alone for a hip prosthesis recall claims involving corrosion and failures, $1.43 billion in 2013 for defective rejuvenate ABG2 modular neck stems causing tissue damage, and $80 million. In 2015, after a subsidiary pleaded guilty to selling FDA-unapproved devices. Their biotech division faced a 2009 indictment for illegal promotion of medical devices used in invasive surgeries, charged for making false statements to the FDA. These devices were used to stimulate bone growth in long bones and the spine. Add 2007 to 2013 FCPA violations for improper payments abroad, $13 million SEC settlement, and a second time in 2018. Kickback cases, it's a pattern of prioritizing profits over transparency, making off-label mods for research data seem plausible. What are kickbacks? Unfortunately, not every healthcare provider makes decisions based on what is best for the patient. Some healthcare providers are influenced to make choices for patients based on what will benefit their own financial interests. One form this influence can take is known as a kickback. Hooman contacted Stryker in early May and got a response from Becky Addy, product complaint. He sent her all the details. They asked for and they said they would investigate. It's been 5 months and still no response from Stryker. Scripps isn't spotless either. In 2020, Scripps Research Institute to pay $10 million for improper use of NIH grants. Similar scandals abound. Fund misuse, data breaches, unauthorized and unsupervised breaches. Scripps has also had its fair share. Obviously, none of this is direct evidence of any wrongdoing, and it doesn't prove the existence of a smart hip implant, but they do raise questions about patterns of oversight and ethics in these institutions, showing that a theory that started as absolutely outlandish, well, it's not that crazy anymore. It's all just theories we're piecing together in the face of no real answers or explanations for what Hooman's been going through. He came up with this wild idea. I set out to debunk it, and it's left me with more questions than answers. Hypothetically, if his smart hip theory was true, the data it could generate would be game-changing for personalized medicine, especially for conditions like his osteoporosis, which affects over 200 million people worldwide and racks up around $35 billion annually in fracture costs alone. Projections show that ballooning to trillions by 2050 as more folks hit that age where bone density starts dropping for everyone after 50. From a market standpoint, the osteoporosis drug sector is sitting at about $16 billion in 2025, headed toward $21 billion by 2030, while personalized medicine overall is exploding from around $570 billion now to over $1.2 trillion by 2034. Hooman's dataset alone could license for hundreds of millions or more, powering billions in advancements like AI-driven implants or optimized PEMF protocols. Hypothetically speaking, wouldn't that kind of info help unlock better cures, more effective meds, and targeted therapies by showing exactly how the body handles smart implants under extreme real-world conditions? Of course, this is all a big what if. This is a text message Jason Moreno received recently from Ommid Asbaghi. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Ommid, Hooman's sister. I've been paying close attention to his movements, friendships, and intentions, so I'd like to talk to you. I know you're someone very close to him. I have your details, but you don't have to worry. Bola, buen día. ¿Cómo obtuviste mi nuevo? Y como sé que eres quien dicen, this means hello, good day, how did you get my new number? And how do I know you are who you say you are? We know that you, Mr. Moreno, are very close to my brother. My brother's drug addict. He has decided to screw up my mother's and my life by harassing us with a lawsuit. ¿Habla usted español? Do you speak Spanish? Hello, you can contact my attorney William Lowe at 619-236-1551. They speak Spanish and can help with your communication issues. I know much more than you imagine, believe me. But don't worry, I am not a bad person like my brother. Oh my God, did she just say what I think she said? You know what? I am not even going to comment. Only one thing is for sure. All of this has taken a tremendous toll on Hooman. Not just physically with his deteriorating health, but emotionally too. He's been forced into isolation, piecing together this puzzle like a rock in his shoe, or more fittingly, a vibration he can't ignore, that's haunted him for years. The reason it's all coming forward now is because 2025 marked a breakthrough. AI tools helped connect the dots in ways that were impossible before, turning scattered pieces into a coherent picture. Hooman's case is incredibly complex, with so many moving parts, which is exactly why I made this video, to lay it all out and make sense of the chaos. Here's what I believe happened, and I'm not saying it's proven, but based on everything we've uncovered, it feels like the most logical explanation. I don't think the culprits gathered in the 1990s to plot against Hooman. No, this seems more like a case of wrong place, wrong time, amplified by Iran's unique geopolitical situation under sanctions. If you're a scientist, physician, or surgeon in Iran, driven to advance healthcare for the good of humanity, what do you do when barriers like sanctions block collaboration and growth? You navigate them creatively, justifying small compromises as necessary for breakthroughs in medicine. But here's where moral hazard sets in. When those initial risks pay off without immediate consequences, it normalizes increasingly hazardous behavior, blurring ethical lines as the ends justify the means mindset takes hold. What starts as a white lie or a mission to enable tech transfers or partnerships, noble in intent, aimed at expanding treatments, and saving lives, escalates over time as success breeds overconfidence and deeper deceptions become routine. Relationships evolve, priorities shift, and before long, you're too deep to back out, with mild shortcuts snowballing into a much larger web of betrayal. Padtan Elm's massive success likely fueled the exclusion. Hooman had returned to the US in 1999, focusing on his own inventions, so perhaps they felt he hadn't contributed enough to deserve a quarter share of what had become insanely valuable. I get the resentment. Why split billions with someone who wasn't there? But facts don't care about feelings. Without Hooman's foundational role, introducing tech like stents to Iran, co-founding the company, and enabling those early breakthroughs, Padtan Elm might not exist as it does today. It's like an early investor in Apple demanding their cut decades later, after the empire's built. Steve Jobs might not like it, but the stake is real. And if Hooman wasn't a co-founder, why did his mother grant him the 2024 POA in Dubai, only to drag her feet, leading to $100,000 wasted on lawyers and delays? That doesn't add up unless the lies have become so ingrained that backing down feels impossible. As Joseph Goebbels once said in his propaganda playbook, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. This plays straight into gaslighting, sowing doubt to make the victim question their own reality. When you feel gaslit, what do? You document everything, archive evidence, and investigate relentlessly, just as Hooman has for years. Ommid calls him crazy, but let's pretend that's true. When did it start? Before co-founding Padtan Elm and facilitating Iran's pharma boom? After returning to the US in 1999? The 2013 asset transfer? His 2015 hip surgery? The $61 million legal win in 2016? The 2017 surgery? Park Laurel hacks? The 1,414 Murlan's AI lab? Columbia anomalies? Or 2025 escalations? He can't be crazy about everything. His accomplishments, patents, victories scream otherwise, far outshining Ommid's. What credibility does she have to tarnish him like this? If he's crazy, it doesn't negate his 25% entitlement. If right, it exposes how far the lies have gone. There's more than enough evidence to suggest Hooman's overall story holds water. I'm not saying every. Suspicion is spot on. But when left in the dark, you assume, validate, and invalidate as you go. Hooman claims he now has everything he needs. Digital forensics to prove the hacks, medical. Experts for the implants, a few new vital 2025 witnesses. But he wishes none of this were true. It deeply pains him to think that his only too close family members could be capable of this. He wishes this wasn't true, and it was to put it in the past. He holds no hard feelings, wishes no harm. Even if the theories were all correct, let the data help humanity. What's done is done. He just wants his mother Farideh to honor the 2024 POA, release his profits from Padtan Elm, and leave him to live peacefully. To conclude this, here's a recent text from Farideh to Hooman. Hooman, my dear, I can't believe that for the sake of money that isn't even yours, you would forget what I've done for you. Even though I said half of it is yours, you act like a thief. You should know that this money will bring you misery and ruin. I won't do anything against you, but all your friends and enemies will destroy you. In this short time that I have left, I see that I thought you were an angel, but you are just a person who looks human. I raised you, and you are a human-like creature who doesn't even have mercy for your mother. It's very hard to think that you would do this for money, which I even forgave you for. I have never thought of myself and always thought of you and the rest of my family, those who worked in the lab. How can you deprive me of my own money? With what face do you want to take my rights? I trusted you so much, and you think that with all these enemies you've created for yourself, you will be allowed to live unless you fulfill the promises you made. If I act against you, the rest will eat you alive. I won't do anything that harms me. It's better for you to get off your high horse. I will protect you. Hooman, call me so I can tell you that you are setting yourself on fire with your own hands. Don't do this to yourself. Let me guide you. With all those enemies, they won't let you live in peace. I am worried that you think if the money goes into your account, you will be happy. Your conscience will not let you rest. May God forgive you for your sins. It shouldn't be this way, and you have tarnished my reputation in front of the world and fallen into the trap of a bunch of thieves and smugglers who are your greatest enemies. Wake up, useless one. Your mother is Farideh,